these situations. I feel like that's going to be one kind of edge for G2 in this matchup.
Yeah, I think that's the feeling overall, right? You wonder if it's going to be enough for FaZe. I do want to also call attention to kind of the situation and the crowd. Twist said before this tournament began, because they also have Atlanta coming up, this is a great chance to make FaZe fans excited and perhaps make a couple of new FaZe fans, Dust. And that's always something that you can't ignore when it comes to situations like this.
Absolutely. I mean, this is all about the future of FaZe. We may not know what the long-term plans are. There's been a lot of chatter about that around in interviews and just online discussions. But the reality is that in the here and now, this is what you've got. And you know that you're down in the hole, and you got to find a way to climb back up. And every single win
Yo.
there to climb
What's
the
up?
DRS, every single win to give your fans something to finally cheer about. Those all mean so much.
We found them.
What were they doing?
What does that mean that they're late?
I think that they were just prepping too hard.
You think?
Yeah, they were trying to watch every single map that FaZe has played so far with this 5-man core. It didn't take very long, actually.
Took me about an hour last
They
night,
started
so.
this morning.
Yeah, they did, indeed.
Co-stream this time.
we'll
Yeah, that's
see.
right.
Anywhere else we want to go that we haven't talked
I know
about
some people
yet?
asked
We
about
haven't
it
talked
last
about
time,
like Matis, for instance,
so
and for
I
me,
made it
he has
happen.
been someone that's been so instrumental
So watch
when
this
they
match.
did go far, when they did have those great games, even at IM Krakow, in
And,
the group stage. So
we'll just
what's
see
going
how
on
it
there
goes.
is that there's a new guy on this team,
So for
it's
me,
really
I
hard
actually
to know
haven't
who
really
runs out.
watched much of this tournament.
Mattis, I just feel
I
like
just know
when
about
he
the
set up
results,
for some
but
of
not
the
so
more
much
aggressive,
the
cocky plays, he's really good. But now I feel
what's
like
been
with
happening.
that, he's kind of taking a back
Is the
seat
volume
towards
okay?
being a little bit more of an aggressor.
If-
Sometimes I feel like
I get this
makes
feeling
the
that
play lose
it's
its way a
quite
little bit. And
loud.
this event so
Let me turn
far,
it down a little
has
bit.
not been the best form of Mattis, because Mattis has been teetering on almost being a top 20 player this year. If you just look at raw numbers, but this event has not been a prime example of that, and I think that's partially because he's trying to.
Let me know how the audio levels are like.
He's moved to be on Mirage as an anchor. It's ridiculous to see a guy with that much skill have to play a spot that's more about self-preservation than getting.
So this match should happen in about 10ish minutes. They went through the vetoes earlier. Unfortunately, I didn't really look at it too much. Okay, so it's gonna be Dust 2, Ancient Mirage. Fluffy Dog, what's up, man? The stream is a little quiet. I sound okay though. Okay. So you're saying I should raise the stream a bit? And thanks for the follow, dude. So I should raise it a little bit? Like this? Is that good? Nerd555, love your videos. Thanks, dude. I appreciate that. That's better. It will be easier to tell when they're in game. Yeah. I hope that's the case too. Hold on. I need to adjust this. This is blowing out my ears. I don't know about you guys. But I'll try to raise it on the stream side. No, I'll just continue to play with it. You guys just let me know. Do you believe FaZe can win map 1? Yeah, I mean with this roster, I think they've been quite surprising. No one really knows what to expect when they first came in with their roster. I love all the FaZe tracksuits. I have the first. I'm gonna buy this one too. Yeah, they are pretty nice. They are pretty nice. So arena setup's pretty interesting this time. They have them face to face with the crowd in the center. I don't know if the crowd is supposed to be all around or just like the sides, but it is pretty interesting. Because a lot of the time you see them in more of a concert setting. Seems like it's gonna be a puggish match, yeah. Yeah, not too much of a crowd just yet. It is still a little bit early in North America, or well, wherever this is being held, Fort Worth. It's not quite evening time yet. Easy for G2, let's go. Yeah, I'm just here to watch some good CS. Twist's second stint as IGL. I think I feel like at least this time, you know, in comparison to when he was on Liquid, I feel like Liquid there was a lot more pressure for them to perform, whereas this time with this phase there isn't really expectations, I'd say, since they missed the major. So I feel like it's a different circumstance, and sometimes when you don't have that same pressure, it becomes easier to call. Like you don't overthink your stuff as much. He's not using an arm sleeve. Hey man, hope you're doing well. Just a quick question. You give me any contact of the guy who can help me get access to watch Blast Party events on my stream. I think the best thing you could do is maybe send a DM to Blast Premier Twitter. He isn't. No, he put it on. He put it on. Can we stop the cap that Fear is a top 5 team? I don't know what happened. It was like almost. Yeah, I didn't watch their most recent match, but I am surprised that they're not at this stage right here. I know I saw some stuff on Twitter where people were saying it feels like ever since Fallen announced his retirement, they haven't been playing well. They're going through grief. Yeah, they were bad in Rio too. I mean, in Rio they at least made it to the arena, right? Which I think is the bare minimum. They just didn't make it to the final, and they didn't win the third place game. If I'm right. Yeah, regarding the comment on the crowd, like I assume that if Blast got this arena, they are expecting a lot of people. They just haven't shown up just yet. So maybe later in the day, as I said, it's still a little bit early there. Alright, so first map, Dust 2. I think it should be starting soon. I wish there was a little countdown. They normally have it, but for some reason this time they don't have it. And as well, if you guys can just let me know when the game does go live if the sound is okay. Okay, the sound is the sound quiet. Okay, let me raise it a bit more. Still trying to play with this a little bit. I'm just trying to make sure I don't blow out my ears too. Is that better? Just let me know. I'm just trying to make sure it's good for you guys, but also doesn't destroy my ears for some reason. That's good. Okay, okay. As long as like in game it doesn't as long as in game isn't just suddenly louder, then this I can bear this.
That's what we love around here. Oh man, I'd be getting the heck out of there.
I'm here to listen to Mo, not Cats as a arena. I appreciate that, man.
I want FaZe to prove to Frozen that he should be part of the building moving forward.
Quiet is fine as long as he can hear the game. Yeah. So
he should continue to don the black and red.
He loves it. He says FaZe Clan for the crowd. Well, of course it will be decided who will be victorious.
AGWL, love your YouTube vids. Thanks for creating them. Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Hunter with a chip on their shoulders. Hunter as an IGL a year.
They take a lot of work, and I'm glad that a lot of people find it helpful. As I've kind of talked about before, you know, I kind of make those videos for my past self. You know, the one that used to compete and play years and years ago. You know, back then content wasn't as abundant, I'd say, and there wasn't as much stuff. So I'm just creating what I wish I had. And the next G2 superstar will emerge from among them. Thanks for a follow, dude. I appreciate that.
This team was supposed to be dead. We all thought they were done, lost at rock bottom. So what is it that makes this team fight? Is it the frustration that all their glory is behind them? Is it the
So just curious for people here, how often do you guys watch Pro CS live? Or are you more of somebody who watches, you know, highlights, or you just kind of follow on Reddit and just watch the occasional match? I'm curious where you guys land on this. Because I'll say for me, I'm probably not as much of a super avid live watcher.
Two of the biggest organizations in Counter-Strike, and like Jason just said, the battle begins.
All right, let's go.
G2 starting on the CT side, and we'll see what
looks like it's gonna be a B play. FaZe, 2 smokes, Molly, Flash. I'm guessing it's probably gonna be a simple B pop.
Heading over towards B. Plenty of players already in the tunnels.
Maybe they'll clear out lower first, and maybe they'll do a B split with the smoke. Let's see. There's the flash. There's the smoke. Ooh. I like what Twist did there to hold lower, just because, especially on pistol round, it's very easy for the CTs to just go lower, get information, and have fast rotate. So I like that Twist was there with the lurk there to basically stop that. All the time, unless it's a Vitality map 5 map final, I know I can skip.
Detected so far. There's the head shown, and now he should be taken down from down below.
Ooh, I thought he would have. Playing default is actually such a good spot where Brokey was. Just because, like, when you come through the doors, there's so many things you have to check. You have to check through towards car, you have to check tunnels, you have to be aware of the peak, you have to watch out for big box. Occasional match, but a lot of demos and POVs. When you say demos and POVs, do you mean that you actually go in-game and watch them? Or do you mean you watch them on YouTube? Because they are very different things. Or, well, I'd say they're slightly different things.
Number 12 team in the world on that VRS ranking. They'll climb 6 places, and everything matters so much to FaZe at this point.
There you go. Long smoke, 4 people towards long. Sunpass does have a couple flashes.
And the VRS. Here's the exit out the long cave. 1 kill for Jacob, and Mattis is going to try and fall back. Trades back.
Wow, that's a very decent.
Somehow 2v2 out of the initial engagement. It's quick, it's direct, and it's heavy from FaZe, but results in a lot of casualties.
Yeah, I like that play. I like that they stack towards long there and just have one person towards B. And the reason why is just like, especially on a map like Dust 2, when it's more anti-ecos, or not anti-ecos, I'll say a second round. Often going long as T's is pretty good just because you have a lot of long distance fights, you have utility and stuff like that, but if you're the CT, if you just stack long and try to fight it, you get into a situation like this where it actually becomes winnable. Just because you have so many people there, you also have a couple of flashes and nades, and you can do something with it. I think in general, one of the worst things that you can do when you play the second round is just play completely default. Just because if you play completely default, then the other team just simply has slightly more tools to kind of pick you apart. Whereas if you kind of play more gimmicky, where you're more of a pack, you do 4-1s, something like that, there's more potential for you to do something together, first of all, and to also trade. I'm interested in the possibility of writing a book about CS, partly about strategy and mechanics, but mostly about the social aspects of creating a team. I'll send Twitter DM if that's okay. Yeah, feel free. That sounds pretty interesting. Can I ask what has prompted you to write this book?
I just want to make sure, boys, that we are not afraid to take initiative, not afraid to take chances, right? Not afraid to take fights, take duels. Try to be the difference maker, boys.
I mean, with this side of the bracket, I'm looking for them. The semifinals is going to be huge, but I'm looking at them to get through these quarterfinals. You know, for me, this is a match that G2 can really make a statement. I know FaZe has been strong.
Mostly got tier 1 tournaments in the background. You learn way more from demos or Skybox. Prospectors create the impression that players are always in action, rarely show how disciplined players need to be. Yeah, I think that's very true. Like, at least I remember the first time I started watching demos. This is a long time ago. This is like, 2017. And I didn't do it very often. I just occasionally watch demos. But I just remember thinking how patient everybody looked. Whereas you don't get that same experience when you're watching a pro tournament, because the observer is always switching to where the action is. So it kind of gives you this impression that things are always happening, but that's not necessarily true. Sometimes people just hold a corner for 30 seconds, 40 seconds, where nothing is happening on the screen. And because of that, you don't really get the impression that, like, when you're actually playing, that you need to be patient. I remember just thinking that way when I first watched the pro demo, realizing that A, there's so many routines that they follow, and B, they're way more patient than you think. CS players don't read. Great. I remember soccer pulling me out of depression in high school, and CS has done similar for me since COVID. I also did a school project on how, as Fallen said, CS primarily brings people together. Yeah, that's very true. I think I've said this many times before, but I feel like if you play CS, you should always try to find a way to go to a LAN at some point, or even just landing at a friend's house, I think is already pretty good. I remember when I was a lot younger, that was something that me and my friends did. Would land at my parents' place, and it's actually such a fun experience. And if you ever get to play in a real competition, it doesn't matter what the level's like, just the feeling of playing on LAN with people in real life and then meeting them, it's a whole different experience. And I've made a lot of friends through CS as well that I wouldn't have met otherwise. People who I only knew them as a name on a screen before, but seeing them in real life is completely different.
And here it comes.
Nert's gonna be up first. Spray down from Nert's gonna work out. Netchu take it away.
Yeah, played a 5-stack with the boys at a gaming cafe. We weren't LAN, but it was so dope still. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I think that was the same thing for me too. I think I was like 15 or 16 when I went to a gaming cafe with my friends, and it was so hype because it felt weird because we were just scrimming. We were just playing 5v5. We were just scrimming, and felt like we were the loudest people in the LAN cafe. You know, everybody else is like fairly quiet. Like there's nothing for them to necessarily get super excited about. But we were yelling, or maybe me, we were yelling like it was map 5 of a major grand final. You know, that's what it felt like. Alright, so this 2v2 here. Kind of tough, but I'm pretty sure FaZe have info on the player coming from tunnel, so they roughly know what kind of pinch this is going to be. Now for the CTs, they still have 2 mollies, so 1 molly's towards car, so now they know there's 1 person towards car. Nerds needs to be the person who kind of peeks out. He does peek out. Ooh.
Huge step up from Mattis, one of the players coming to this kind of plucked out of obscurity, and he is one of the players who showed very, very quickly he deserves to play on these stages. Beautiful clutch. What a tough round.
Retaking B is often pretty hard, I'd say, but there are still a couple good Molotovs you can throw. So one of them is the one towards closet, like what you just saw, you know, flushes out that player. There's also one that I've seen people throw nowadays where you bounce it off the back wall of the site and have it land big box. That's a really good one too. There's also lineups for under window if you really want to do that too. So it's definitely way more doable if you have mollies. Alright, here we go. Should be a pretty straightforward round. Now this is something I see pretty often too, especially when I made my most recent video, that when the Ts are on eco, when they just have pistols, a lot of the time the CTs will push into lower, and sometimes they have a cat setup too, where one player is playing cat, spawning towards lower, another player playing close lower, and then, you know, it's just so easy for them to mow down the Ts with pistols. And like it may seem a bit trivial to, you know, that you're just fighting against pistols, but at the same time, you know, I think one of the biggest mistakes that you can make when you're playing against pistol rounds is not necessarily having a plan. It doesn't need to be a complicated plan, but just some sort of, you know, idea of what the hold is going to look like. Because if you don't have that, then sometimes you get surprised, and that's kind of when these anti-ecos pile up. MP7 really took over the MP9. I haven't really used it very much myself, so I have no idea what it actually feels like, but that's true. I've been seeing a bit more these days. Alright, so this round here, 4v3 situation. Now, if you're the Ts, you still have a few nades, so you have 2 smokes, a couple flashes, a molly. Now, what you can do here is you can fake mid B and then walk up cat, or you do the inverse where you smoke towards cat and then go towards mid B. So this time it looks like they went for the smoke mid B, come up towards cat. G2 are actually very well set up here. They're actually gambling that some sort of, oh my god.
And the heavy guard flashbang works out perfectly. Hunter with 3 kills has just carved FaZe up and put Frozen into a 1v3.
That was sick that they set it up that way, because if they flash there, if Hunter didn't see anybody on cat, then they either make a decision. They either try to rotate B really quickly and try to beat the mid B smokes, or they just fall back and save knowing that the other team's going towards B. But in that situation, I mean, the flash is perfect and they're able to get basically all the players blind. And also, it's not that common for Ts to play anti-flash in that area either. You know, it's not the same as, you know, when you come up banana towards B and you're at the entrance of site, you know, almost everybody expects that the flash is coming from spools or from CT. So I really like that play there.
We know that we talked about the IGL brain of where like the attention just gets taken away from the crosshair. So yeah, we've seen him have a few moments where it seems like his focus is just elsewhere, and that's not
Sir APAL, or say Sir ALP017. Hey, is there any videos coming up? Yeah, there should be another one in a week or so.
And it's a 2-round lead.
Yeah, maybe in about a week or so. I haven't quite decided what it will be yet. I haven't quite decided what it will be yet, but if you have any suggestions, let me know.
Going back for a little bit more, they're going to tank the utility, wanting to get Up in Hunter's face
What would you like
early.
to see?
He's in
Or
a
well,
good
that
position,
question
not
goes
going
for
to
anybody
so
in
he
the
can
chat. What would you like to
get
see?
range on the better weapon and throw utility in
What's the
instead.
name of that spot Hunter was sitting? He was sitting on bricks. A lot of people call that bricks.
Yeah, I mean, this is all about just stalling things out. You know, running down the clock a little bit. There's, you know,
Just 'cause there's a brick there and you're just slightly behind it.
To go away and disappear so they can actually attack in with some of the weaker weapons.
This round's gonna be a bit tough for FaZe. Just a smoke
Here's the Nerds peek into mid just for information.
and a molly.
Take a couple
No
of
flashes.
towards him. Goes into the
No
peek,
flashes
gets
kind of
changed up
means that it's
position,
very hard to
takes
scale
out
up
the
Cat.
smoke.
So maybe they're gonna try to go mid B, try to find this kill. Ooh. I like that. I like that a lot.
You can only get the one in, and Jacob comes in on the deagle, and all of a sudden, that B bomb site wide open for business.
This is a disaster, and you're going to want to go for this if you're G2. 3-on-3, you have the weapon advantage.
Right,
as well,
3-on-3
but
situation.
retakes at the
They
B
have
bombs
a
are
few
never
nades.
easy. Broky's got an
The only problem is
AK-47,
that they
all
don't
in
have
time to delay
anybody
things as well
that's
with
kind of
choke
close.
points. And no one
G2
from
do have
G2
the
is
element
able
of
to
surprise
control
though.
all three
Still.
bombs.
Oh, what?
Friday! It's Freaky Friday right now on the surface.
What kind of shot is that?
Hunter and Sampaio setting up, thinking about actually just repositioning through the mid doors and going.
I was gonna say they have a bit
into
of the
the
element of
tunnel.
surprise
They've been
since
scared
you know
off by that.
they
That is just ridiculous.
they don't know if the full retake, or rather FaZe don't know if the full retake's coming from either tunnels or whether it's coming from doors.
Crazy shot to
But
hit.
after that kill, like,
Takes away any
you know,
chance
that's
to retake.
that's a we're just gonna say
Okay. Yeah,
FaZe
we're
VS
here.
is back.
There's
Yeah.
the FaZe bullshit. It's all coming together.
Everybody's doing cash, I guess, but maybe a little early. Yeah, I mean, I'm probably not gonna do cash until
Absolutely mental. Great trades from the Pistols
until some
to
matches are
Gale.
played.
Beautiful shot from Jacob, but this. Yep. I'm sorry. What?
Only on a Friday.
I mean,
I'm sorry,
very
what?
much
Oh my
though
God.
it'll play similarly to how it played in CS:GO, but it's probably it won't be the exact same. There's gonna be some slight details and differences. But I don't know. We haven't really seen cash in the more modern era where, you know, people have refined grenade lineups a lot,
Box smoke deployed
and
out.
all the learnings from the previous
He's gonna move down
maps
below. A great
can be
round to
applied
fight
as
for them.
well.
It was looking so good as well there for Nerds. They didn't have a flashbang to get him off the
So
angle.
I think it'll be
Right
very
control.
interesting to see.
Coming through that smoke.
Nuke A
This
site
is
would be
where
nice.
the strong
Yeah,
maps
Nuke would-
against
Nuke
Vitality
is not too
should
bad.
give you some confidence in G2 to be able to
Right.
withstand something like this. They answered the call against Vitality.
A dead
number of
team
times.
buff.
Surely against FaZe they can as well.
What coming through the doors is Twist again. Nerds down.
Ooh.
Brokey and Twist combining.
Just a straight contact through mid.
Okay, the OG
then mid B
FaZe
smoke,
players
and
all
then
finding
this
themselves
round is
a lot of
over.
success. And it's gonna be Mattis with no chance. You say
I've seen all your
Mattis
videos, and I
needs
assume you
to
don't
bounce back
make
from that. They
want
get
to make
annihilated
videos
in the
about
follow-up round.
anchor players
Yeah,
that
they
plays
really
on
do.
one
They still
site.
have money, though, to buy moving forward in the
But
next
just to
round.
set some
Madness is
example,
gonna
maybe
be
you can
desperate
do a
to save
Anubis
this
A
and
site
focus
play
on cash.
to outline how many
So how
rounds
much
do
does
those
FaZe wanna
players
hunt out of
push
these
A
round
main to
wins?
water, how do they react, talk about timings.
Broky's just waiting to punish if he
I mean,
continues the push.
I'll eventually get to those spots too.
And this FaZe team with 2 rounds in a row and
I mean, I've made a couple of anchor videos, like I did one for Pit, unless they're talking about like have I not done any small site anchors, like B site for example. I feel like I have. Maybe I haven't yet.
And we're starting to see some elements of that here in the first quarterfinals.
Damn, you're streaming. Love the educational videos, man. Keep it up. Thank you.
Well, Nerds is going to be kicking himself as back-to-back rounds. Right? He creates that opening by going
Sir
down
AL,
for FaZe to move through.
I got a question. Have you
To tighten that up
did you
because
watch
they
my
know
videos
Sampaio
from
is able
way
to
back
go on.
then,
Because
like
this
on
team
Mahone
starts
underscore
figuring out
TV,
they can get
or is
something
this the
around
first
this as well.
time
No, it's actually kind of scary.
you've seen my channel?
So you won't have it in the next round when you go for the full buy otherwise. So really going to see if Sampaio can create you anything, and if not, I mean, you're just going to look for the first opportunity to save that and keep it alive if the round's out of reach.
Well, he's looking to plug that gap in middle that's been such a threat against G2 here. So let's see if Sampaio can find
Alright,
some
holding the gap
success
shot.
from this position with the AWP.
T's are just doing a default.
Maybe the change
CT's
up at FaZe aren't
pretty default
anticipating
setup for the
maybe
most
the element
part,
of
but
surprise,
they only have
they've got the
pistols, so
information now.
it's gonna be up to Sunpies to make a play with an
Does
op,
he have that
and that's
planning
kind of what
advantage
you
of surprise?
need to do really to win this round. Everybody else should more or less just be trying to grab information in some sort of way and stay alive as long as possible. The op needs to reposition so that he can make it 5v4, so this is right here.
Sampaio
After taking cat control, he knows that there has to be at least one
moving
person
out
here.
towards short,
There should be.
wanting to take a single step forward.
Now with this kill, he can actually drop down to CT. It does look like Hunter has one flash to push the T's back if necessary.
Sampaio now has the angle. Moves it up. Eventually, he's gonna
Oh, and here's the nades. He's going to peek, drops down. Flash should be coming soon. The flash is there to slow them down. But Nerds does hear a player coming from B. Ooh, if you got that kill, that would have been huge.
Try and get into the site, and Frozen hoping from the A-bomb site he can carve them up from behind, but that bomb needs to be collected, and Nature's got it.
Hunter's got a one-on-one. Hunter's moving into the B-bomb site.
He's gonna go forward, 5-7 in hand, and he goes, and down he goes to Nature. So it's some bias on the AWP.
All right, 1v1 here.
And the
Sunpies coming up close.
To try and go back into the site.
They both know where each other are for the most part.
He's heard it, and Nature walks to the window. Confident.
I was a little surprised to see that Sunpies looked a little worried about the smoke walkthrough, or maybe the player crossing back tunnels. I think both of those are kind of unlikely there, but overall it's a pretty good half buy round, I guess. I mean, I feel like that's just a hero up. Other than that, Mirage window would be nice too. No matter what, we'll watch and learn probably so much. Thank you again. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Yeah, sometimes when I make these videos, I'm not too sure like what people already know, what people don't know. You know, it's always a bit of a guess. Because you know, I try to use myself as a gauge. I try to include things that I find out where I'm like, oh, you know, I don't think many people know about this. Just tuned in, Maurice. Just tuned in. Nice to see you streaming. Cash is gonna be interesting. What people can find with the volumetric smokes too. Yeah, that's gonna be. I think that's gonna be interesting. I love Mahone TV. Vince back. Thank you, man. I think it was fine before. The Mahone TVs was what helped me the most in playing in my collegiate team back then. Thank you, Mahone. I love you. Collegiate team. When you say collegiate, in North America, or I think there's also a collegiate league in the UK, if I recall too. But if it's North America, that's really cool. I used to play collegiate a little bit too. Where'd they get the new FaZe guy? I think he coached a couple other teams before. He's definitely not as known. I think he coached ENTS before. NKJ. G2 coach looks like an NFL player. TH2352, best CS analytical YouTuber currently. Thank you for the informative videos. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm glad that the videos are really resonating.
It's been a fun start to this game.
I'm always that the coach is good at anti-stratting. Yeah, probably. NA, yeah, it was Collegiate Star League and Nace mainly. Ooh, Nace, okay. Yeah, I played during the time when CSL was still a thing, and Cespa. That might be really old. I don't think a lot of people nowadays would know about that. But it was a good time, you know, got to go to a few LANs. And it was something where, you know, it was bigger than just yourself. You know, you represented your school as well. Rob Strap, love your quick tips. Helps me a lot keeping up to date with good strats while being a real adult.
Do not give up the advantage that G2 have.
Well, first of all, I appreciate that. And second, you know, the more I see comments like this, it makes me realize that sometimes it's not just the, you know, most serious type of player that my content caters to, but just people who, you know, don't have a lot of time to commit to CS and are just, you know, looking for the quick and fast way to just get up to date with what the best ways to do things are in CS. And you know, I'm happy to see that, honestly. I've seen a number of comments that are like that.
Heavy God. First headshot's good, but both of the B players dead again. Nothing.
Alright, the thing that sucks always about dying instantly is that the rotation is always a lot slower, but in this case here, FaZe are kind of trapped, so they need to make a play, and this is the play. Twist going through the doors. Now he's going to try to get behind the box a little bit. Oh, he sees his gun sticking out. 1v1 once again, Brokey. Ooh, too easy of a shot. That is one of those shots where... That is one of those positions, the big box, where you can know, from the CT's point of view, you can know that the person is behind big box, but it is so hard to deal with. Just because the person can kind of peek from the left and the right, and they can hide. But in that situation there, the 2v3, as soon as you're in the site, you always have to make some kind of play where you're in a man disadvantage. Otherwise, you know, you're getting pinched from tunnels, potential players coming from door and window, and not to say that every single person is going to come from those locations, but it's just the fact that you have to juggle all of them at the same time that's difficult. So when you push into one of them, you kind of eliminate one of those options, and also if you're able to find the man advantage, it makes the round easier. So Twist pushing through the smoke, brilliant play. And also, not to mention, I don't know if they, you know, I'm pretty sure the smoke was just thrown on the fly, but I think there was a little bit of a gap there too that he could sit in. But you know, the smoke spreads a little bit, so. Rob Strap, it's extremely useful. I'm beyond my peak, but still play at a fairly decent level and don't have time to fully study the game now. So it just helps me keep up whilst being able to play more casually. Hell yeah, man. Yeah, I think especially nowadays with CS, there's just so much to know. There's just so much to know. Like there's so much stuff to watch or consume. Like especially with the YouTube POVs now, like they watch the POVs on YouTube, and you know, like I think that one channel Lim CS POV, I don't know if he does this now, but back then I feel like he uploaded three demos a day, where it's like a lot of people definitely don't have time. I would say most people don't have time to watch 3 demos in a day. What do you think of the Cash remake? I think it looks pretty solid. Personally, I haven't really ran around the map too much, nor have I played a game on it yet, but I like how it looks. I like that they've kind of removed all of the... I like that they removed the mid window. I was never really a fan of that window there, just because I felt like it changed the dynamic too much in terms of, like, the T's would have to constantly check that all the time. I just did not think that was very, I don't know how to describe it, but satisfying. Like, it just felt annoying. But other than that, you know, I think I felt like Valve kind of went the direction of they're just going to make it the bread and butter, where they're not going to try to do anything too crazy on it. All they're just going to do is make it the classic of what it used to be in CSGO, update the visuals, and then just let the meta develop. Vince Vac, I always watch Lim CS before bed. Hell yeah. Alright, so I got a question about that actually. If you watch Lim CS at all, are you the type of person that watches the entire thing? Or do you just watch for certain moments? Or how do you watch it exactly? So I'm curious. You know, like, do you watch it for entertainment even? Because I know some videos are framed like, you know, X player versus Y player on Dust 2. Love the new Cache. Was always my fave map, and the new one is so good. Can't wait to play a proper game of it tomorrow. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. it's faithful to the older version. I never liked Cash, Ransom 1311. I never liked Cash. I don't like the way the map plays at all. I know I'm in the minority. I'd rather have Train back. Now, when you say that, is that because you didn't like how Cash played back in CS:GO? Because maybe it plays a little bit differently in CS2. Well, actually, I don't know. I guess it depends. It probably doesn't. On average, it probably doesn't play that differently. Muffinington. Yeah, I feel like Valve's version is closer to the original CS:GO one than the FM Pwn remake. Yeah. I think Valve. I feel like Valve. It's like when it came to Cash, just cause, you know, we. I feel like Train maybe was a bit of a letdown. I don't know. I kind of always had the impression that for Train, going on a slight side tangent here with Train, I remember a lot of people, at least on Twitter, were very hyped about Train. And then when it came out, it was very different. And then, as a result, people didn't really like it as much, and it wasn't really played all too much, like even on the casual level. And then it started picking up steam in the pro level, like much later on. But I think something to consider was that even Train in its prime in CS:GO, like I don't even think it was that popular of a map among the casual community. So I don't think Train was ever really that popular. And I think because Train kind of flopped, I'd say Cash is like they're not taking any chances. It feels like. I think Cash has everything. Fast-paced B site, balanced mid, and a more tactical A site. That's true. I think the main thing that people, it's just speculation right now, the main thing that people talk about is just like, oh, it feels like all you're going to do is just boost mid, do all the same things that you did back in Go. I don't know if that's true yet, but we'll see. I just liked it so much in Go. I haven't tried the new one. I kind of just watch a player I like and then through that learn a bit of the position he plays. So I often watch the whole thing. Oh, wow, okay. Yeah, no one liked the new Pop Dog, I feel. Yeah, I was... Okay, so... When they made that change to Pop Dog, I know a lot of people find that position annoying, but to me, I really liked the old Pop Dog, just because it was such a different type of position compared to every other map in CS. And because of that, there were a lot of like really unique and creative strats that came out of how to take Pop Dog control, like, you know, there's the jump spotting, and then there's the double stacking on the ladder to drop down, and then there's the, you know, shooting the windows to mask the flash coming in. Like, I always felt like that was so cool. So when I saw that they removed that aspect of it, I was just like, wow, a whole meta on a certain map was just deleted, basically.
The win over Fury is pretty crazy because I think that's the one where you look at it and you're like, well, they probably were one of the teams that shouldn't have made the playoffs.
You know, it's probably something that I'll make a video on one day, you know, the evolution of Pop Dog takes, just because of how interesting it was and how far away from like typical CS it was. Just because it was such a mind game. But that being said, I know a lot of people found it pretty annoying too. Like it was way more annoying to play than it was to watch. Watching it was fun because you can see the two, you know, you can kind of see the battle of the minds. But then playing it's like annoying as hell. So I can agree with that part. Yeah, the tandem drops on Pop Dog were fun. So many good plays from that ladder, man. There was a new meta with that every so often. Yeah, man. They deleted a whole they deleted 10 years of history with that change.
Ready to break that smoke open. Rosen biding his time, ready.
I think new Pop became too easy to retake. It used to be a good anchor point, but now it's not. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, but the information was never gathered from middle, so that's surprise to us. He was wanting a stronger fight there.
And like I feel as well, it just feels much lamer now to play as a CT or T or whatever. At least from what I've seen in the past. It just feels like the CTs are just trying to find different off angles to catch the Ts off guard. And then what the Ts are trying to do is to jump spot and bait out those off angles. And I don't know, I just don't think that's that satisfying. It's definitely not as tactical. It's much more about just like how do you outmaneuver your opponent a little bit. Like who has the slight edge. Of course it's a bit more than that, but it's just I'm just saying what I saw a lot. Pop Dog and Nuke Vent were kind of the same, but not at all similar. Pop Dog was unique. Yeah, I think the main difference was just that Pop Dog was a pretty big, crucial area of the map to take, whereas Vent on Nuke is, you know, it's not that common. It's not like a CT is sitting in Vent the entire round.
Concerning seeing G2 go between a couple different ideas back and forth. Heavy God seemed like he wanted to join with the upper B push, and then you'd have a 3-on-1, which guarantees at least the bomb site essentially.
I think the T's rotates are way too slow on train as well, whereas CTs can rotate in like 6 seconds. That is true. That is true. You know, like even back on the old train, you had to on the old train, if you took IV control and then you take main control, and you want to go back B, all those people who took control there, they have to walk all the way back to Brown Halls, basically. So a new lineup there for the Doors smoke. I think some people have talked about it on Reddit and Twitter, where you know the typical one missed. It was funny because when I was making my my most recent video, the Dust 2 mid B one, I didn't realize that NM Graph had changed that smoke. So when I went to go throw it as like a demo to test something, I kept missing it. And I kept thinking, I was like, do I just not remember this smoke? Like, why am I missing this? Until other people confirmed it, you know, and posted about it, then I was like, okay, I wasn't going crazy. But if that happens, I wonder what else it affects, you know? Does that affect certain positions? Like, are certain headshot positions no longer viable? Like, I don't know if there's any actual real examples on maps that exist now, but just kind of curious if it really changes a lot. Nice retake through CT. Sorry, I haven't really been paying attention to this match as much. If you push Ivy route and you fail to execute, it's basically game over, yeah. I feel like as well on Ivy, you know, the way they changed the structure of it, where they used to have 3 lanes and just made it like 2 lanes, which was essentially a square. I didn't really like that change as much. I liked the aspect of having the 3 lanes just because it meant it was an additional spot. Yes, it was an additional spot that CTs could hide in, but it was also an additional spot that Ts could hide in too, which I don't know, I feel like it makes it a bit easier where it's like once you take Ivy control, there's at least one more lane that you could kind of sit in or occupy that puts more pressure on the CTs, whereas I feel like the dynamic of just having the square wasn't as, like, that whole area changed. Like I don't really know how to describe it. Famine 92. First time watching your stream, but your videos are the best. Awesome stuff. Kudos. Thank you, Famine. I appreciate that.
Nature wins the fight versus Hunter, and instantly it's an advantage for FaZe.
Well, thank you for tuning in as well. Yeah, I know that like for my videos, I don't really show my face or anything, or I've never shown my face in my videos. I kind of make those videos as complete standalones of, you know, in some ways it's a bit of a creative outlet for me too. I spend a lot of time on the editing. I try to make it as good as possible. Something that I don't know. I saw somebody write as a comment that it feels like it's like watching a documentary, which I really appreciate. And I'm glad that my video could make somebody feel that way. But it is kind of funny that it is just like a CS guide at the end of the day. Twist is the new IGL? Yeah, he is. He is. He's the only person that has prior experience. Hansi PK, bring back being able to move under trains. I found that the most annoying thing back then. Ooh, what a post plant. I found that the most annoying thing back in the day. So I played Source, and being able to see under the trains was so hard in Source. Like, you had to turn your monitor brightness up like so freaking high that you had to turn your monitor brightness so high that everything else would look like washed out or too bright in comparison. Of course, monitors weren't as good back then, but like, I don't know. I did not enjoy that aspect. I do agree that nostalgia-wise, yeah, it'd be awesome to bring that back. But gameplay-wise, and maybe the lighting would be better in CS2 if they did, where you don't have to crank up your monitor brightness to see under trains. You know, maybe it could be a welcome change. Ooh. I really hate the new Ivy 2BH. It was already so hard pushing out of Ivy and Go, but now it's much harder and risky. Yeah. I think going through Ivy in general is pretty annoying. But I think towards the end of Go, people did figure out how to do it. You just have to cross the other side, and then throw the lurk smoke, and then the molly. And then from there, you just make sure you have the threat of an opper post up so that a CT can't repeak. Famine 92, the editing is great. It's really clean, kind of old school for some reason. There was a German CS 1.6 strat guide, text with photos, and it feels like a modern version of it, if that makes any sense. Oh. There was this German CS 1.6, what was it called? Or was it in German, where there wouldn't necessarily be a English translation? Well, I appreciate that. You know, that is a great comment, because back in the day, you know, there weren't, before YouTube was a huge thing. You know, there were a lot of the content for improving was like, what do you call it? It was text-based, you know. They'd be on websites, or they'd be like these kind of like PDFs, I guess. I guess they were kind of like PDFs, but it was very different back then. Bit of a random question, but have you seen any pros switch to Linux? I find the FPS on Linux is so much better than Windows, really. As far as I'm aware, like I don't think. I'm pretty sure 99.9% of pro players have never even touched Linux at all. And I think I'm included in in that too. Not as a pro player, but somebody who hasn't really touched Linux either. My only comment on your pros approach to holding videos is that maybe show the lineup by doing it yourself on a server when showing their utility, but that's a nitpick. No, that's a common. I appreciate that feedback. I think so for me, I'll just mention the reason why. The reason why I don't really show the lineups too much is just because I know lineups evolve by the day, and eventually there'll be a better way to do it. So I kind of just talk more about the idea of what the nade is supposed to do. But at the same time, I do realize that, you know, not everybody is a nerd and like keeps up with all the utility lineups. So I do understand that. But the main reason why is just like, I feel like showing nade lineups just slows down the video so much. At least for me, when I watch other people's videos, I'm not all too interested in how the thing is thrown, unless
the mid push coming out here to Twist. Matters actually moves into it.
Unless, like, I really can't figure it out myself.
45 seconds, and the bomb now arriving towards the site. But Brokey's here.
But I understand. And, you know, in my most recent videos, I've tried to put labels on what kind of thrower they are, just because sometimes it's not immediately obvious that it's a middle click compared to, you know, just a simple left click, or maybe even a right click, or if it's something that's a walking jump throw or a standing jump throw. Things have gotten more complicated. So that's for sure. Yeah, I used to boot Windows to play CS, but honestly, I tried it on Linux and was so surprised. Wasn't there a period of time when CS didn't run on Linux? Like back in Go even? Or am I misremembering? It was from Tam Clan. It might have been called Tam Book. I'm probably mispronouncing that. It was very early 1.6 and showed executes and positions, etc. Or maybe it was Counter-Strike book, kind of like those guidebooks for video games that used to be made. Oh man, that's crazy. Alright, so maybe I sound a little bit old with this, but I remember there were game guides back then. You know, not for Counter-Strike specifically. Maybe there was one or two. But I remember back in the day where a new game would come out, and then a physical book of like how to play that game would also be available. Like, it's something that you could buy. And for some reason, I just kind of think that concept would be cool to have in CS. Maybe just because it's an actual physical thing, maybe that's the reason why I think it's cool. But I don't know. Maybe it's just a bit of nostalgia. Actually make it around towards CT. Nerf is hunting him, but the utility looking to burn him out. He's so low on health. Will it spread? Unfortunately, though, they don't know that the A site's completely open. Good clear though. Good clear from Nerds. He's likely gonna go down. Oh. You should know the last person is towards CT. The best performer for G2 in this quarterfinal. Gonna drop the smoke. 1v1. Fake the plant. Oh, he still thinks he's CT. This is a very nice play from Jacob to go long. And that's kind of what you always want to do when you're... Oh, does he read this, though? Oh, he saw him. And the reposition, too. Now, SunPius has the element of surprise here. Oh, but he does not have the better angle. Most things didn't used to run on Linux. It's only since the Steam Deck that's gotten 100 times better. Oh, okay. CS itself works on Linux, but most of the anti-cheats don't, except VAC. Yeah, that's the only issue at the moment. You can't play FaZe It, but I've stopped playing FaZe It now anyways. I predict Linux might hit the CS player base in the next 3 to 4 years. Next to 3 to 4 years, no lie. Remember me if that happens. Okay, I will. I'm gonna screenshot that. Performance out of Twist to bring this round back for FaZe. The year of the Linux desktop is always current year plus one. That's so frustrating. Crouch and then uncrouch. Hell yeah. You can see the energy as well that gets pumped into the team when you win a clutch like that. Yeah, we've seen that, and again, we've seen that momentum kind of building. G2's put a stop to it, but FaZe has done a good job of keeping things energetic on their side and keeping this belief up, and again, nursing this lead the whole way through. G2 will creep it close, and FaZe just extend it every single time. 11-9. And it's G2 who have the full buy in this round, but actually both teams really hurting for money. This turns into a massive swing round. Winner of this gets a huge advantage moving forward into the next one. Sorry, I kind of forgot my train of thought there. The concept of Best Buy selling a Linux laptop. Alright, so slow approach here. Cat control. And then at the same time, Nerds is going to look for the rotation from B to see if there's any sort of reaction. Doesn't see anything, so it looks like... The question is, are they going to fake mid B first, or is this just going to be a straight cat hit? They do have a couple smokes, a few smokes, decent amount of flashes. FaZe are playing double long setup though, so so even if Brokey dies, they still have that avenue to retake from long. But looks like here G2,
52 seconds as they take their
they're gonna
first
do
steps
mid
out
B
the
smoke.
double doors.
No pressure from tunnels.
And the B bomb
Maybe
site
Heavy
will be
God will go
finishing
late.
play.
Sun Pies is gonna hold the window peak for the rest of them to come up.
And now it begins.
Coming at Nachu and Frozen, looking to defend the B
Ooh.
bomb site, but Frozen dead at the hands of
Ooh.
Mantis, eradicating
Wow, they just
Nachu
got
from the
deleted.
site, and there's no
They
other
actually
option.
just
You
got
have to
deleted.
save
There
the
were no
fight.
flashes, nothing.
And
They
the
just
B-bomb
came
site
out
falls
and
to
swung.
FaZe.
It's almost too clean, right? It's almost like too clean to win of a round because now FaZe gonna save 3 weapons, and they'll likely have another.
Now FaZe, they tried to counter
by
by throwing a tunnel smoke, so they didn't have to worry about the lurk. But when when they just come out and just destroy you like that, there's not much you can do. So personally for me, I'm actually not too much of a fan of that particular spot. The one on top of the boxes, this one here. Just because when the T's come up, they can come from like different elevations. Like it depends on how they peek, because if they peek close to the doors, then they're a bit higher, and if they peek from further back, then their head is down low. And the thing is that when T's come in to peek towards the doors, like that spot has become one that you come to expect. So even though only your head is showing, you're going to be looking towards tunnels, you're going to be expecting a player towards the top of that box, and I almost feel like that spot, if you're just fighting it straight up, isn't as good. Like you need a door smoke, because with a door smoke, then you at least cut off the multi-elevation, and you're forcing the T's to come through the smoke, where they only really have one angle to come through.
Yeah, so I was trying to just say these 3 weapons are enough for us to
So,
have a chance to win this round.
you know,
We're content with
I think they
that
needed to
level
have a
of
smoke
challenge.
there to make that work.
I like that call from G2. Just go quick. They likely don't have the best weapons on the
Ooh,
site.
straight up B push.
Nature only has the USB, so he's gonna go down after 1, and that's it. So that's the B bomb side of wraps. Great call from G2. Just a hit the
Opinions on Nerd's turtleneck.
Bro,
I think it has
that's
aura.
a pace change that FaZe never
Unless it's
expected.
Robs, he can make everything work.
Way
Okay, so the thing
more
about Robs
conservative.
is that
Have been a little bit more
at least
conservative.
there's been so many times where I've seen him play certain positions where if you're a nerd and you watch it on 2D viewer, it looks like, okay, that's just the standard spot for X, right? But what you don't realize is that Robs, he like
And G2,
calculates the best way to hold that angle. Like he'll stand a few steps to the left to make sure that he's not seen by this particular one. And he has so many of those that, you know, I think Robs makes it work because he actually studies that kind of stuff. Like for example, Nuke Silo on lower B. Like he'll know how to position himself so that he's not exposed to too many angles at the same time. Like he's not going to be exposed to window unless the person jumps up on it. He's not going to be exposed to door unless the person opens the door. That kind of thing.
they're going to be missing the AWP on Brokey, which he's had a number of times. So
Opinion on everyone using the word aura now, dude. I think when I hear people talk about that, I just think I'm too old for that kind of stuff. I'm just to me personally, I'm just kind of like I don't really care that much about that, but at the same time, I do realize that I'm older than most people who say that word and are talking about it, and 2, I'm not invested in CS esports to the same level, you know. As you can tell with my YouTube channel, I'm much more of a nerd for like how the game is played, the tactics. Like I'm not caring so much about how a person conducts themselves, basically. And maybe I'm losing aura by saying that. I don't know.
I'm going to cross safely, get to that B bomb site without losing a member to some bias.
Yumi, what's up, man? Yeah, it's a logical pre-aim if you're coming up ramp and then car. Yeah, it's just become too much of a common spot nowadays. Robs will never take contact in a spot like that. Yeah, not in that way. You know, he'll take like some kind of off angle, or he'll what do you call it? He'll
also the B ramp if it comes to it.
He'll peek in and out on a timing. He's never just straight up holding it.
Continuing to layer smoke.
There's so many times where Rob's used the spot and got a kill and dropped down and then killed Lurk in the window. His timings are insane. Yeah. I mean, I think from what I said earlier, like every spot can be enhanced by just peeking on a timing. It gets you ready for when the player does come and doesn't, and it ensures that you're not stale. Keeps you active. Or it's just another word for effortless. Is that though? Alright, 11-11. Ooh, big kill. Big kill on the Lurk. 2 players at ramp too, so it almost feels like they're going to try to do a bait setup. So even if Brokey dies, Twist just going to hide. Sunpies tried to catch the Lurk. He tried to catch the rotate to B, didn't find it. Ooh, Twist died a little bit too early there though. Ooh. Okay, this should be wrapped up.
Yep, Sunpies now with 5 seconds left. Will he go down? He's got cash in the bank at least. And he's just going to try and pick up that AWP on the way out here as well.
TVH, peeking on timing is so powerful. I've been using that a lot lately, and it's made me win way more duels. Yeah. I mean, as a concept, it just... As a concept, it's existed for a very long amount of time. I remember watching some old 1.6 tutorial from... I mean, this is probably going to age me a lot, but I remember watching some old 1.6 tutorial from GB James, and he talked about this idea of peeking on the timing. And the whole thing is that you want to catch them as they've already cleared your angle. So, like, for example, if we're going to talk about that B box scenario on top of the thing, you want to... The best time is to catch them after they've already cleared your position. Of course, you can't nail the timing every single time, but you're trying to visualize in your head, like, okay, every time you stop peeking, you imagine that the person is going through the steps to clear your spot and then moving on to the next. And then when you visualize that they've moved on, that's when you peek again. So you're not just going like this the whole time, but you're also considering how long it takes for them to clear a certain angle. And of course, there are some mind games here where maybe you just, as the person coming up, you just hold it just a little bit longer to counter that visualization. But, you know, in general, it's what you should do. Yeah, it's going to be a tough 2v4 here. No nades. Now the question is, are they just going to go straight for the plant? Or are they going to try to fight a little bit? Okay, it's just going to be a straight plant. So I think here Nerds needs to find a kill somewhere. He has the op, so Nerds needs to stay alive as much... Oh. I was going to say, Mattis needs to stay alive as long as possible so that Nerds can cut the cross as they come in. But that didn't happen. He didn't have the HP for it. So FaZe showing up. I guess not too surprising given their results in the tournament so far. But coming into the tournament, you might have thought, okay, this is, I don't know what to expect from this team.
Alright, that is map 1 done. I can only talk to one man after that first map here. Brokey, what day
Alright, next map is going to be Ancient.
Brokey Friday. Of course it's Brokey Friday, and you
Brokey Friday.
Can you just talk us through that shot? And you know which one I'm talking
CMP
about.
1337. Hello guys.
Yeah. I just knew I could wallbang.
What do you think what do you think about Jacob?
The fans here, you've got a lot of FaZe support in the crowd. Can you clutch this up on Ancient? Of course we can. If we can't, we will finish in the third map. Best of luck. Thank you.
I don't know. Jacob is he was an interesting pickup when they first got him. And I know during the what was the most recent major, the Budapest major, he surprised a lot.
Rarely seen Brokey be this communicative in interviews and on air overall. The thing is, sometimes with stuff like this, like Brokey Friday and that.
But I think at this point now it's just like
actually does help.
I think
I
it's
mean,
just the
how
main
does
thing
he
right now is
get
just
out
FaZe are
of
playing
this
without any
trap?
pressure,
Brokey just needs a reason to
and
wake
that
up.
that makes a
That's
that
the
makes a
thing
big
when it comes
difference.
to him, okay? He only gets really excited for those big games, the playoffs, the qualification games, the elimination.
Arena is so
ones.
empty. Is
Obviously,
CS
he's
that
looking
dead
back
in
at
North
some of them and wants
America?
a little bit more, but
It's still a
man,
little
the
bit
way
early
he
on a
played against
Friday.
some of the
I know I
shots
said
that
that
we
earlier,
showed
but
us, I
it's
couldn't believe
still
my eyes.
true.
He's
It's not
back
quite
on
the
his
evening yet.
bullshit, Maui. He's doing
Yes,
it.
he
But
is.
look at this.
I mean,
That shot
Maybe
is
this game is more about pure firepower than
that
anything
is my
else.
question. Like,
I
when
think
have you ever seen someone land a shot
I
in
think
that way with
in
a style
general,
that does
Counter-Strike has
In the
gotten to a
playoffs
point
here in this
where
big arena,
there's so
that's
many
if I would
details
hit my
about how
phone and sit down,
to
like, I'm done. Like,
I'm right clicking his
what am I
profile.
peek
I'm
properly
checking
and
out
how
the-
to
It's like, what is this account?
pre-aim, and there's just so much more what do you call it,
crazy.
nuance to how you do things. I remember back then, this kind of attention to detail wasn't quite the same. Like, it was just you just counter strafe, you generally pre-aim, and then you kill people. But nowadays it's like there's so hold on, I need to lower this a little bit. I can't hear myself think. But nowadays there's so many ways to peek angles. Like, do you wide swing? Do you just do a short strafe? Do you crouch into it? And then once you're in the fight, how do you fight it? Do you just simply stand still? Are you crouching up and down? Are you peeking in and out? And maybe that has to do with like the movement speeds in CS:GO/CS2 compared to 1.6 in Source. Like it's just way different.
Recognizing that they're at a man deficit, doesn't want to just send it, doesn't want to just play a really standard crossfire. So very tricky stuff there from the new IGL of FaZe.
Yeah, it's FaZe's map pick, Dust, but G2
It's just sorry, I've always been a Jacob defender. The logic of bringing a rookie into new spots and playing totally unstructured CS, there's very few players that would succeed in that transition. That is true. Like, a lot of the stuff a new player kind of gets thrown into at that level, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. I think even just the fact of not playing your spots is already a pretty big deal. Just because I guess there's been a lot of times in the past where somebody comes in who used to be more of a star type of player on their previous team, where they're getting spots like Mirage Khan, Mirage Cat, or stuff like that, where they're used to playing a certain type of pace all the time. But then you bring them into Tier 1, which is, first of all, could be quite different compared to the level of play they're used to experiencing. And then you put them in a completely different spot, different pacing, different types of problems that they're facing. Because one of the big things as well is, like, from Tier 1 compared to Tier 2 and Tier 3, there's much more of a focus on anti-stratting in Tier 1. Whereas in Tier 2, Tier 3, they play so many games that it's not as much of a deal. Although, maybe that's not necessarily true today. I'm just speaking from experience back then. That, these kind of things were that allowed you to succeed back in the previous or the lower level of play. If it's not set up in the same way at the higher level of play, it's hard to succeed. I think the average player is so much more into optimizing their play than before. You got FaZe at level 7s measuring their desk height. Back in the day, pros didn't even do that. That's true. I think as well, I think high performance gear has also kind of leveled the playing field a little bit. Like, it's become way more accessible. Like, I remember back in the day, not everybody had 120 hertz monitors. There are a lot of people who were still on 60 for like years until it became much more normal, just because they used to cost a lot more back then. Whereas today, buying a high hertz monitor, even a cheap one, it's not that much. It's like you can get one for like $200 at the minimum. And if you go for even cheaper brands, like, you probably get a 144 for like 120 probably. And I remember as well, back in the day, people didn't really use gaming mice as much back then, whereas today it's almost like everybody has one. I've always been of the belief that Kerrigan's FaZe demands people to be masters of improv, but sometimes in acting, you still need a guiding prompt to kick off the set. That's a really good way of putting it. That is a very good way of putting it. You know, it is a different skill set. You know, I don't think Kerrigan's been much of the super micromanagey type. He's more so just put everybody in the right type of spots and then let them succeed. But some teams, as you're mentioning, they have players that require a bit more micromanaging. Now, of course, this is not micromanaging to the level of, well, you need to stand in this exact spot, but it's more so just like guidance of, okay, you should use this setup, you should react in this kind of way. Which maps? Next map is Ancient. Next map is Ancient. Yeah, the gear now is insane. I'm running a 500 Hz OLED and it's mad, but for some reason some people I think it's actually a negative. I know people who change their mice every 2 months and are constantly changing their setup to optimize, meaning they don't grow proper muscle memory. Muscle memory is a myth, but I know what you're saying. Yeah, exactly. Like bringing a classical musician into a metal band, the skills are different. Okay, so I actually want to touch on this this muscle memory thing. So I don't know too much about this personally. I know people in the AIM community talk about it a lot. If you guys can kind of elaborate more on this, if you have more knowledge on this, please. I'd like to know. Because so I'm of the opinion generally that you don't. I don't think you lose your. I'll just say I don't think you lose your muscle memory in the sense where anytime you switch to a new mouse, you're completely resetting to zero. I don't think that's necessarily true. You do start at a baseline, probably just at a lower baseline than what you were used to. And then even when you go back to the old mouse, you're still at a pretty high level and it just takes a bit of time to get used to again. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just curious if somebody who has more knowledge about the muscle memory being a myth thing can elaborate. I'd be happy to read. Which map would you replace with Cash? Ooh, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, for some reason I am feeling that it'd probably be Ancient. I just don't see them replacing Mirage. Or maybe they're going to replace Dust 2 again. I don't know.
I've heard you say in the past that maybe it was a little bit too predictable, the T-sides coming out of Hunter, or one note is the term.
Bale in CS 209, what's up, man? Yo, off topic, but what's the next map you're going to do Pros Approach for? So I was thinking of doing something on Inferno, but I'm curious what you'd want. Now I do read all the comments to see what people are curious about or would like to see. So if you have any suggestions, drop them in. Oh yeah, I love Ancient. Problem is that pubs, rarely do I see Ancient. I don't think you reset to zero. I think you are messing with the consistency. The weight of the mouse, shape, feet, mousepad resistance, even this audio sound stage of your headset can mess with your audio reactions. It's small things that add up a lot to a whole game. Yeah, I think one of the things is that, like, back when I actively played a lot, I remember I was very scared to change mice just for the fact that I did think I'd have to reset from zero. But after I did it like a couple years ago, it does take some time, just because, at least to me, like I don't know if anyone can elaborate more on this feeling, but it's always just like when you switch mice, it feels like you haven't experienced the variety of situations yet, and as a result, you don't feel as comfortable. That's the best way I can put it. Even though you might generally be like 80% of the way there just by the actual thing that's happening, but not so much like the details. At least that was my concern. But of course, you know, I don't know too much about this stuff. The old saying was never change your sense. Now the best aim trainers show that you can change your sense daily and your muscles adjust after a few minutes. You can land flicks in the same way. So I've experienced that too myself, where sometimes if I try balancing between two wildly different sensitivities, it feels like I can adjust like pretty easily between the two within, you know, let's just say 10 to 15 minutes if I'm just DMing. I've read this before, you know, this is not like an official source or anything, just a comment on Reddit, where somebody was saying that it's much more about mouse control, like how well your hands, like how good are your hands at moving the mouse around, where you can handle, you know, different shapes, different weights and stuff like that. I don't know how much weight that really puts into how good you get with one mouse, because like for example, I've seen people where they use like 10 different mice, you know, over the course of a year or something like that. Does that really mean that, you know, just because they've gotten used to being good at all these mice, that they're actually really, really, really freaking good at one? Like, is their aim going to be like that much more? Like, I don't know. Mr. Goat, why is Cash so hyped? Isn't it just a better Ancient? So I think a big reason why Cash is hyped is A, because nostalgia. A lot of people who played CSGO, especially early on, played Cash, and it was basically like Mirage is today. Okay, maybe not necessarily, but pretty close. So, you know, a lot of people are just hyped to see that return. And, you know, I'm assuming all the newer people who haven't played Cash, you know, they hear all these stories about it, and, you know, they've seen a lot of famous clips on it, and, you know, just want to experience what that was actually like. So that's why. Your pros approach videos have been so helpful. Please never stop. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Can recommend Viscos, XCS Pro, and now Allegia's aim coach videos about muscle memory. She basically debunks muscle memory when it comes to mouse sensitivity, for example. Okay, I'll check that out. Valen CS 209. Thanks for uploading your videos analyzing the tier 1 teams. Thank you, man. I'll continue to do it. Any Nuke or Inferno pros approach videos would be goated. Any specific spots you're looking for? Anubis mid would be interesting as a pros approach since it's so new. Muscle memory is definitely a concept. F mice or peripherals. Think a nail on a hammer or an oil worker. The repeated movements essentially become effortless. I feel like the main difference with mouse is shape now, but mice these days are all so good. It's probably way less of a difference, versus back in the day they're all very different. Yeah, that's true. I think mice today are also so much lighter than what they used to be. I feel like they used to be so like I used to use a heavy mouse back then, and then ever since, you know, I use a G Pro Super Light now. You know, I switched like maybe 4 years ago at this point. I remember the first thing I thought was like, this mouse is so light in comparison. I couldn't get used to it at first. How do we get people to learn to default dust properly? Either my mid player is inting and is playing so far back they can't call cat rush, or long players are going double doors short, no nades. So the tough thing about dust too is just that because although it's a map that, you know, has been around for a while, you know, there are certain aspects that everybody kind of needs to be aware of to play it in the best way. I think the first one is just like, for long, you always want to have the best player go towards long, or no, sorry, not the best player. The player with the best spawn go towards long, just because he has the time to actually beat the T's. And then the person who's towards mid needs to call if they can go cat. And at the same time, you have to juggle the B push.
FaZe enter Ancient with a chance at the semifinals, and they start on the CT side.
So, you know, that's not like a macro thing you can call to. I mean, unless you just said what I said, then maybe that's the best way. But there isn't a macro thing you can call to just tell everybody this is what you need to do, especially when you're just playing with random people. I think mouse shape has a lot to do with confidence. If you hit a sick clip on one specific mouse, it kind of sticks, if that makes sense. This is something I can agree with a lot. I think I've fallen victim to this too many times in the past, where, you know, I might have gone to a LAN and just dropped the best performance of my life with that mouse, and for that reason I will never switch again. I've definitely had those kind of feelings in the past, and I'm sure other people do too. So I can agree with that a lot. Cash coming back in CS2 is a CSGO version. It's a CSGO player version of Tuscan coming back to CSGO. That is very true as well. I remember playing Tuscan / CPL Mill back in the day. What map do you think is going to be removed to add cash? I think it might be Ancient. Or Dust 2. To me, I feel like Dust 2 and Cash would probably be very similar in popularity. That's the whole reason why I say Dust 2. I don't think it will replace Mirage. Like, Mirage is too much of a mainstay nowadays. Back in the day, I remember people adding weight to their mouse. I had a mouse that was like that. The Logitech G500, I think. They came with weights that you could that you could add in these tiny little things into the mouse to make them slightly heavier. I remember for me, I experimented with taking the tray out and I don't think I ever added weights, but I only experimented with taking the tray in and out to see what felt better. Do you miss Forsaken? No, I don't miss him at all. That was your Inferno Constant Aggression video? Oh, that's a long time ago. Hey Mahone, can you give pros approach for nuke T sides? Yeah, I can. I don't know when. But you know, good spots are definitely outside, as well as nuke lobby. I made those in CSGO, just haven't done them in CS2 yet. Small pads, high sense, add weights to mouse to help control. That was the meta. I'd appreciate a CT side, B side Inferno vid. I know you've already did one, but that was more T side. But a pure CT side would be good. Yeah, that is something I'm thinking of. That is something I'm thinking of. What is the coaching thing you're doing? So it's not entirely clear to me just yet, but over the course of me making these videos, I've had a handful of requests of people asking if coaching is a thing that I do, and for a while I said no, that I don't, but I did put out the forum just to see like how much interest there would be, and if it was something that people would be very interested in, because I do know that, you know, my videos, they solve a very specific problem, but some people want something more personalized, like they want something applicable to their situation. So if you're interested, if this is something that you'd like to do, feel free to fill out the form and we'll go from there. That's what I've been sort of appreciating with Val. Get your best shooters on duelists, and smoke lineups are easy when it's just staring at a mini-map rather than learning the whole angles and jumps. It's true. I remember when I released the evolution of Mirage window smoke video. I remember one of the funniest tweets, or one of the funniest comments for the tweet that I put out for it was Notes screenshot where the caption was Like CS, it's like 10 years of history in one area of one map. One area of one map. Whereas Valorant, it's just a person pulls out their iPad and just presses the dot on their screen. Maybe I'll try to find it later. How much would a private coaching session with you cost? I think fill out the form and then I'll get back to you on that. I tried a nickel at the back of my Super Strike and it fixed the balancing, but I used palm grip anyway, so I took it out. Used the nickel, like did it make a difference if it was a dime or if it was I don't know if you have pennies. I actually don't know where if wherever you live still has pennies, but maybe that's something you could experiment with too. Can you tell me a bit about NetNew? Would he be a good fit? I actually don't know anything about him either.
This particular FaZe lineup has only played it once with NetNew in the lineup against Navi earlier in this event as the desk.
I don't know about him. I only know that a roster announcement came out and he's on the team. And that I believe he's French. I've not seen your coaching thing, so I don't know if this is the plan, but it would be cool to send you a demo of a game. You could make a vid, and we could use the info to improve. Would happily pay. Yeah, maybe. I do know that like coaching videos have become more popular on YouTube. There are some good ones out there. But I appreciate that comment. Thank you. Would you post your coaching sessions to YouTube? Think it would be great content along with your pros approach to X. Yeah, we'll see. Honestly, I have not thought that far yet. I have just been reading some of the responses and reaching out to a few people and just seeing just trying to see exactly, you know, what it is that they want help with exactly. Yes, NetNew is NetNew. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. Is French. I know him personally. Very hardworking guy. He deserves this stand-in. What else can you tell? What else can you tell us about him? Is he somebody who? How long has he been playing CS? What kind of spots does he like to play? Is he Zywoo 2.0 or what kind of player is he? I honestly don't know.
Taps the smoke open, blows a hole in it, sees Jacob and completes the frag. Twist is pushed up as well, and he doesn't seem to have any idea. But the hit now moving towards A, and Brokey's had to give up his initial angle.
Alright, 5v4 situation. Alright, so this is something that's very common, where as the op, as soon as the donut smoke comes out, you just try to inch a little bit slightly forward past the smoke, and thing is, it's hard to flash that particular angle, like depending on like the angle you take, because if you play from back in donut, there's ways to flash you, but if you play like more aggressive, where you're kind of like spotting the cross towards the first box, it's almost always a free kill just because it's hard to flash you, and second, you can dip back into the smoke right away. Can you post the link to the coaching form? Yes, it's actually in my most recent video. Let's see if I can pull that up. Wasn't he on ENTS at one point? I'm not sure. I'll look that up too. Yeah, he's French from ENTS and Mao's NXT before. Kind of an anchor, middle of the pack player. Okay.
This round is just chewing time off the clock. Cool plays from Mattis to open up Ancient. This is a really nice way to find an opening kill if you're nerds. Smoke doesn't break all the way through, but the one bullet helps out. Brokey finds the equalizer, but he had just shifted. He had just shifted behind the smoke, so gives up any position to actually defend the bomb site full on.
Okay, so I just put a link.
But they need it right now, staring at 0 and 5 on the scoreboard.
Alright, so I just put a link. If you're interested in coaching with me, just fill out that form, and I'll get back to you.
Such a tough scenario to be down 5-0 before you really feel like you're getting going on the map. We'll see what G2 call here. So
Let's
much
see.
money
I'm gonna look up
available.
Net New.
Flirting with a few risky ideas. You got 5 rounds available. This is all the money in the world.
Okay, he's been playing since at least on HLTV. He's been on a team from 2021 to 2022. It looks like that's Gen 1, and then he's played on LDLC from 2022 to 2023. And then Miles NXT from July 2023 to September 2024. And then from October 2024 to now, more or less, he was on ENTS. Okay, so he's been around.
Got Mattis on 1 HP. So much damage done by FaZe players, but unfortunately not catching a break.
I honestly don't know if he was playing anchor or pivot on site, but it's not a second ZywOo, as ZywOo is great in opping. However, ZywOo prefers rifling. I think it's not like a star player, but more like a solid rock you can count on. Okay, so more of like a Magus type profile or Rops even. Would you put it that way? Thanks. How are ENTS these days? I'm not very up to date with pro scene. Remember playing a game with Alan Dihab back in the day. Dihab was insane. I'm actually not too up to date with ENTS either. I remember they used to have a really good roster, and then something happened. Maybe more like a Mezzi and Vitality. Okay, I gotcha. Oh damn! I didn't even realize that G2's just been steamrolling them. There it is. If you've watched my ancient video, he crouched across to the right side behind the molly.
It's an easy T side for Hunter to call. If his team gets the opening pick, I mean, you know that they're going to have to make a play, and you know that play is going to be relatively disorganized.
Just fight together, make sure we're on the same page, okay? Things haven't been going our way, but now that will change. One frag is all it takes, boys, okay? Let's step it out, let's step up, come on.
One frag is all it takes. That is true. Just depends on when it is. If it's a 5-on-5, 5v4 can make a big difference. If it's a 3v3, a 3v2 can make a big difference.
Once you enter that A site, there's no one home for FaZe. Jacob is rotating over now, but he's still a long way off.
So it looks like it's going to be an A main pop. Matt is just holding towards B. And the reason why you want to make sure to do that is, you know, if the CTs clear that whole B lane area, if they clear this, then they know that they might be running into A stack. So that's why you kind of want to keep that guy there, just so that you know you're not running into it. Slight mid split. Now they know that somebody's here towards Cubby. There's the nades. Ooh, beautiful. Ooh, just shot him through the smoke.
Everything's going well for G2. They're just going to run it towards the A bomb site, and that'll be it. Another round for G2. 7 in a row here.
Yeah, looking real easy. Looking real simple for G2 at the moment.
Let me just check his roles quickly on Skybox, a few demos.
Such a tough situation on this map for FaZe to be in.
Kind of irrelevant at the moment since they transitioned to the Finnish roster a month ago. Yumi, do you know if that Finnish roster, like, is that supposed to be more of a developing Finnish roster, or is it like the best players that are Finnish right now type of roster? Not sure if you answered this before. What's your impression of Anim Graph 2? Will this save Brokey's career? I think for me, I like Anim Graph 2. You know, I did some DM with it. Seems good. That being said, I think the thing that's made a bigger difference to the overall feel of the game was the recoil change, like the screen shake. Cause I don't know, like when I was shooting with the AK, it felt so much closer to what I remember in CS:GO. Now keep in mind, like, it's not like I grind CS2 at all. I just play very occasionally, but you know, I did play CS:GO a lot, and shooting the AK felt way closer to that. For a while, I always thought that, you know, because I don't play as actively as much anymore, I always felt like maybe my feel is off because I'm not playing as much. But after the screen shake update, it was the first time where I kind of felt, okay, I remember what this feels like.
All right, another timeout burned. Just desperately trying to get something out of this half. Is there a minimum amount of rounds we're looking at here, Jason?
But in general, like, the game does feel smoother. I know there's also some opinions of people who say that it just feels off, and you know, for them, they've probably gotten very used to how CS2 feels now, where you know it just feels off to them, which is completely understandable, especially if you're somebody who plays the game all the time. Screen shake is so high now, or I mean like aim punch actually. Yeah, that was the one thing that that I noticed basically right away with the aim punch. I was like, oh wow, this I don't recall this from before.
Slow down as Brokey is waiting for next contact. Where's it going to come from? Extremely likely to be the donut here now.
I think it came down to financials. Keeping the international roster and having to attend all these small lands was unsustainable. And just checked, it's actually the ENCE Academy roster core they've promoted. Okay. I mean, last time I remember hearing about a roster that was like that, and then them having great success was Gambit, when they promoted Gambit youngsters to the main team. So, you know, that's
stuck in middle red room area with nowhere safe to go.
I mean, this is great to
there's
see
potential.
G2 being able to reset after Dust 2 was so scrappy, so back and forth. We're talking about we're missing on Nerds, we're missing Heavy God. The only player really showing up there was some.
What about Spirit being promoted? Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that too. Well,
definitely got Hunter online, 10 and 2 right now. And this is
from that Spirit roster, it was what, Donk and Zontix, right? Am I missing somebody? Because I just remember when it came to Gambit's rise, it was like everybody came from that roster except what's it called? Except Hobbit. Zontix, Art Frost. Oh wow, okay. Yeah, I'm not. Oh yeah, and Supra. Yeah, I was about to say and Supra. Yeah. Honestly, I'm not very in tune with the tier 2 type of scene. Like I only really see them when they start coming up, kind of thing. I'll admit it. I don't really follow tier 2. The people that say it's off are the same people that don't change in mice. Rob Strap filled out the form. Appreciate it, dude. I'll take a look later. Most NXT wasn't all promoted at the same time, but most of those guys ended up on the main roster. That's true as well. I think it is really cool that Mel's NXT did kind of was more or less like they all got promoted, because I remember watching them in We Play Academy. Honestly, like We Play Academy, like I didn't watch it a lot, but I did watch it a little bit just because at the time I was on NIP and Young Ninjas was a thing, and they would occasionally drop by the office as well. So when they, you know, when I had met them and just hung around them and stuff like that, I was more enticed to watch We Play Academy just because of that. And I also thought the production of We Play Academy back in the day was pretty good. You know, it's hard to know about some of these things without the proper, what do you call it, exposure. Because like for me, I don't know if I really would have watched some of those matches if I didn't have that exposure about Young Ninjas at the time.
So 8-1.
Harder to keep up with tier 2, 3 nowadays, considering there's so much tier 1. I also feel like there's a lot of tier 2, no? Like I think there's a lot of like if I go on HLTV, I feel like there's just so many matches every day of tier 2/tier 3, maybe even some tier 4. I guess it depends on what it is. So I watched some Dems. He's playing Anchor B on Dust 2 and as a mirror on T side, A Anchor on Anubis, Carpet, Mirror 2. Okay. So there's some maps where he's kind of like He's on the extremities of the map.
From Frozen to get the 2 kills is crazy. Heavy God, how you gonna play this? You got plenty of time, 1 minute, plenty of HP. He's got 100. Now moving in towards CT.
All right, 1v2 situation here. So I didn't actually see how this formed, but it does look like they kind of went through Donut, got a couple kills mid, and Heavy God, he's just trying to clear out towards A. He knows that somebody might be lurking around A. If he can find the right timing on Twist.
I like this from Twist. The safety of A main, it's a real thing.
Heavy God's searching for any opportunity, any opening, but
He has 1 molly though, so I imagine that when he goes for the plant, he's gonna have to molly off one of the spots. The question is, what does he decide to clear? He's gonna molly A main. He's gonna fake the plant. He's hiding behind the box. Okay, now he knows that one player is towards A main. So the second player, he knows that he's coming from somewhere in B. The question is where? Is he coming from CT? Is he coming from Donut? Now he's gonna try to clear Donut, because if he gets this kill Donut, he knows the last guy's A main. And there it is. And ooh, he's actually, ooh, I like that reposition. Okay, so what was nice there was, instead of playing all the way back in Donut, because most people, I'd say, after you get that kill in Donut, you try to go back to Donut and just try to play the 1v1 like that. But the reason why, though, is because he planted from behind the box, so he had the challenge, if I recall, with the bomb plant spot. But even then, it still surprises, like, even if he did plant in the open, it still surprises the guy coming out of A main, because, you know, he's expecting, okay, I gotta play this, you know, little jiggle game, this little jump spot game between the cracks.
Any hope, any dream of coming back into this game feels completely shut out for now. Jacob at least getting the opening kill here for
So yes, more as a ROPS, as you said, but you'd essentially have to choose to watch Tier 2, since it's often on at the same time as Tier 1. Yeah, I think the one, okay, so one of the things that, about being in North America compared to being in Europe that I realized when it came to CS was just that the time zones make it so much easier when you're in Europe to actually watch CS, because it's usually on at night or in the evening, whereas in North America, depending on which time zone you're in, like, it's either, like, if you're on the West Coast, like, games are at like 8, like they start at like 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. or something like that, and they go till, you know, noonish. And then if you're on the East Coast, then it tends to start at like maybe what, like 8 a.m. or so, so it's very watchable still. But I just remember the times when I've been in Europe, it just felt so weird to see CS on at night and see that it's live. Just because just naturally it fits in the schedule better, because a lot of the time, you know, people are at work, people are at school in North America when these tournaments happen. But then when you're in Europe, it's like it's at the end of the day basically. It feels much closer to watching a regular sport.
In this elimination game, no mercy. Timeout taken, one call comes to a close, and we get into the final round of the first half. Feels like G2 just have a stranglehold on this second map. And Mirage is a decisive
Platico, big part of why losing NA Pro League hurt so much. I personally didn't really watch NA Pro League, but you are right that it was on at roughly that time. I do remember, you know, of course this is when I was younger too. Of course, it's been a while since NA Pro League came around, or has been around rather. But yeah, that's true. It'd be on at that time, and I'd see that streams are on and stuff like that.
Well, a lot of space gained by Twist, especially due to the damage on Mattis. He's not there to kind of stand tall and prevent that kind of a push.
All right, so last round of the half. Looks like FaZe are about to try to clear towards mid. Good trade there. Now 4v3. It looks like they're willing to press the issue of fighting mid to try to really clear it out. And then now that pressure is coming out towards A, the rotate can come in towards Temple. and this should be pretty straightforward round unless Senpai does something crazy.
And a third round will be saved by FaZe, but a 9-3 lead from G2 leaves Mirage feeling like it's
Damn,
inevitable.
9-3. Sensei Exploration. Mahoney, love your analysis and breakdown of games. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I know in this particular game, honestly, I didn't really pay attention too much to what was happening, but just having too much fun chatting with you guys.
Generally in life, what just annoys me is just people. I just hate people.
What makes me really grumpy and annoyed is when people are in the plane, they behind you, they want to exit quicker than you, so they just push you.
Obviously, people are then you just decide to stand in the middle of nowhere, looking at your phone, doing nothing, like that kind of stuff.
You will be out of the plane in 5 seconds more, but stop pushing everyone. Like everyone is just.
What are your thoughts on the current state of NACS? Oh man, it feels like for the last 10 years we've been asking ourselves this question. I think the main difference, or well, I don't want to speculate too much, but I'll just say that it feels like there are way more tournaments and stuff to play in Europe compared to North America, which as a result, like there isn't as much to play for here. And I think it's also a bit harder to really commit to CS in North America, which is why it's like it's just not as big of a game here. Like I think it's simply I think a lot of it is a numbers situation where if you realize that the player base in Europe is 10 times bigger almost compared to North America, you know, it just makes sense that there'd be way more what's it called? There'd just be way more there'd just be way more good players that come out of the region in Europe. FFW FPS, hey, what's up? Hey dude, how's it going? That being said, like I do think there's a lot of good stuff that's still happening for North America. Like, you know, stuff like Philadelphia. I even see that Dust2 US holds tournaments. You know, the CSC as well for people who are a bit more casual. And of course there's ESCA League and stuff like that. So there's still a decent amount of stuff to play for, but it just doesn't seem as big as Europe, you know? Where it's like in Europe there'd be certain leagues for, you know, only Danish people, certain leagues for Finnish people, certain leagues for like all these different types of countries where there's kind of like this sense of there's always something to kind of compete for, where you can feel like a big fish in a small pond. Because, you know, I will say it does get, you know, if you play at tournaments where it's like all the big dogs are always there and you just get crushed by them, you know, doesn't really, it's not the greatest thing to play in. Cash will revive it. If it really did have that effect, that'd be insane. Ooh.
This pistol is off to the races here for G2. A 4v2 make it 1 because Frozen's now gone 2. It'll be a 10th round for G2.
So whenever I see pistol rounds like this where, you know, people just headshot the enemies instantly, I always think about what Sean Garrett said like maybe 10 years ago. He had this theory that maybe you shouldn't buy armor on pistol rounds, because a lot of the time you just get headshotted. So he was proposing that you could spend this money on something else. Either maybe you could save for the next round, or you could buy more nades, or you could buy a different gun, for example. And I always thought that was an interesting theory just because, you know, it's a different approach to the pistol round. And I know early on in CS2 there were times where teams would not buy armor so that they had a stronger second round buy. Of course that changed with the money update, but I think there is something to that. But maybe just not viable in today's game right now. I think content creators such as Ludwig as of recent put a nice spotlight on CS for NA as well. That's true. You know, I think that's a really cool thing that these bigger streamers are doing nowadays, which is just playing CS. It exposes a lot more people who, you know, who have probably heard of Counter-Strike in some sort of way, but have never experienced it, either playing, watching, or whatever, and it gives them that first entryway. And the thing is about CS is just that it's like, it's one of those games where you start and it can get so addictive just because it feels like as you play it more, you're the person who actually gets better. Like it's not a character that you build up. The person that it builds up is actually your own skill set, which I think is what makes it so fun to play as a game where if you play it regularly, you can feel yourself getting better. And as well, like not every game is the same either. It's like every game is just slightly different. There's just something about the replayability of CS where once you get in once, it hooks you.
Well, at least the guns aren't knocked out for the G2 side of things, so they'll just reinvest and buy back up into it. But do like seeing a little bit of life. How far can they extend it? 3 of the last 4 rounds of the first half.
I remember when he said that. I think it's super interesting also. I think maybe with how common Berettas have become, it makes Kevlar more valuable, but I'd like to see some new statistics.
But at least they still have the chance.
Yeah, I think I said basically everything I wanted to regarding that Sean Garrett's point, but new statistics on it, I think it would be cool because when Sean Garrett's put together that video that I'm talking about, where he was talking about how people just headshot all the time on pistol round, that was back in like 2017 maybe. It's been 10 years ago since, and I'm pretty sure people have only gotten better at headshotting. so maybe there's like a tipping point somewhere that we may have already crossed. I don't know. That's what I love about CS and hate about MOBAs. On League, someone with an OP build can just destroy because of the build. In CS, it's simple and raw, and the better player always wins. Well, I don't really play League that much, but at all, I'll just say. But I think the one thing about League is that there's a bit of a snowball mechanic in it, where you know, if you have a good start, depending on the champion and stuff like that, if you get to a big enough lead, it's very hard to climb out of. Whereas, technically, in CS, no matter how far down you are, it's always a new round, and you can always come back. Like, if you put in 5 noobs to play the first 10 rounds, and you lose 0-10, and then you put in pro players right after, those pro players can still win the game. Maybe that's kind of true for League as well. I don't know. As I said, I don't play. But I also like that aspect of CS, where it's a reset. It's something new each time. It's kind of like it's like tennis in that way. I wonder what your opinion is on team chemistry. Sounds cringe, but Vitality made me believe in the power of friendship in CS a little bit. I think team chemistry is very important. Like, it's not always possible on these professional teams nowadays, just because, you know, you can't, it's not like back in the day where it was, you can kind of pick and choose a bit more of like the composition of your team just because there wasn't as much money involved. But with organizations today, it's different. I think the more that your team can kind of mesh together, and I don't mean just outside the game, but just in general in terms of how you approach problem solving as a team and your attitude towards how you view the team and stuff like that, and how you almost like you got to have like similar values. I think that's very important. And you know, of course, the best thing is that you guys get along very well inside the game. I don't know if that's necessarily the most true for outside the game too, just because if you're too good of friends outside the game, unless you're extremely good friends where like you guys can criticize and you guys have built a very strong bond. I don't know how to describe it, but it's a fine line. Yeah, like because let's just say, for example, you know, to elaborate on this point, let's just say I play on a team and I have a couple real life friends on my team. Let's just say we're all pretty good, but then one of my real life friends is not stepping up and we're trying to be competitive. If I cut him from the team, that affects my relationship with him outside of the game too. It's not though. The economy can still snowball, but not as much, but still. The thing is that at least all it takes is for that one team that swapped from noobs to pro players. They just need to save one round, and then they get all the guns out, and they can win at that point. I see chemistry as a multiplier to your base level of play. Yeah, I think what's hard to describe about chemistry, like I'll just say on the server chemistry is the times when you know what the other person is doing without even communicating it. Like that's the level of chemistry that you want to get to, where you know what the other person is already doing and you guys are already on the same page without talking about it. And like I've had a couple teammates in the past where it's like I've felt that way. Yeah, accountability becomes more difficult if your friendship isn't strong enough. Yeah. Yeah, basically like what I said. Like if your friendship isn't strong enough, or it's something that can be broken by this team that you're building, it affects you outside of the game, which is, you don't want that either. Maybe that's circular though. Winning with your coworkers will make you friends, not necessarily playing with friends will make you win. I don't think it's okay. So for me, I don't think it's necessarily true that winning will make you guys friends. I've played with teammates where, even though we won and we're winning, I would not consider them a friend necessarily. Like we could be friendly, but not friends, if that makes sense. Or like, I guess to put it this way, like the only thing that connects us is just the fact that we won the thing. Which is, you know, when you're playing at this level, when you're playing in tier 1, for example, that's kind of all that matters. But, you know, I was talking more strictly from something that applies to most people. Most people are not playing at tier 1. But I do agree with you that, you know, at the tier 1 level, winning does patch a lot of things, does patch a lot of problems that you might have. Like you're willing to overlook, like you've got to really overlook, or you have the ability to overlook certain things if you're just winning anyways. I think chemistry gives star players the opportunity to carry if you're in a team you understand and you know they're holding angles, you have the confidence to push more risky plays. Yeah. You gotta really not gel if winning tournaments doesn't bring you closer together. It's not like guaranteed, but it has to help the atmosphere. You see in football teams how everyone turns on each other when losing, but everything is forgiven once some good form comes along. But that's the thing, like, what if the good form never comes? So really, it's not really dependent on chemistry, but more so your results. And I think we were talking about how important chemistry is to a team. Because maybe good chemistry gets you through those hard times. And, you know, it should get you through those hard times. Since shared experience is one of the greatest bonding agents. That's true.
That was a devastating blow to the team, and it's a period of transition. Obviously, winning this series is going to be very, very difficult, but it would be incredible.
Asking because I saw some Team Liquid content when they had open comms. They seemed to be friends outside of the game, but they threw around so many terms that I can only describe as sports psychology, really depersonalized in a way. Haven't thought this much about chemistry since secondary school. While on the other hand, Apex sounds like a real human. I think, yeah, I don't know. I think in general, having good chemistry is a good thing, of course. Like, I'm not arguing that point, but I think the question is, actually, I'm going to scroll up a little bit here.
5 rounds back, and this is the timeout called by G2, talking things over.
What's your opinion on team chemistry? Sounds cringe, but Vitality made me believe in the power of friendship in CS a little bit. So I think if I were to talk about it in a more general sense, if you're playing, you know, with your friends, for example, I'll just say, the difference between playing with somebody who you have known as a friend for like 10 years compared to somebody that you've known for, let's just say, 1 month, you're definitely going to have way more chemistry with the person who you've known for 10 years just because you guys know each other as people more. But that doesn't necessarily mean you guys could be very different in skill level too. And I think at some point, you know, this is why, at least in CS, at the highest level, not everybody is just friends. You know, there used to be a saying back then where it was like you could only go so far with your friends. And I think a lot of people in North America, at least in the time, where they all came up with people who they were good friends with, like in real life type of deal, and then they hit some point where either they wanted to take the game way more seriously than their friends, and as a result, either all their friends would rise up, or they would have to leave and join another team where they're not friends with people, because they're looking for people who have the same goals. And I'll say a lot of the time, it's the person leaves because their friends don't have the same goals. I mean, I was even in a situation like this before. You know, this is when I was very, very young, where I had only played with my high school friends. And, you know, they started to move on to different games, whereas for me, like, I want to keep playing CS. So ooh. Ooh. He's crawling up, just walking, just making sure that they don't hear him. He's going to clear out cave, and now they know for sure both of them have to be on that side. Let's see this. Ooh. Twist, 1v1. Sun Pius with the fake. Does Twist peek it? Oh. Twist too good. I think CS pros also spend so much time together compared to other sports. Like traditional sports can only be practiced a few hours a day since it's physical, whereas CS has big grind culture. Yeah, that's true as well. I think another thing that I heard, I think it was Stiko that said it probably, or I don't remember where I heard it, but I remember just him saying the fact that in CS it's only 5 players and a coach. Well, let's just say 5 players for the sake of this point. In a lot of other sports teams, it's much more than 5 players. So if you don't like somebody, or if you're not like in line with somebody all the time, it's not as big of a deal. Whereas like in CS, if you have two people that don't really like each other, for example, that makes up 40% of the team, and that affects them a lot. Like I'll just say, for example, like in ice hockey, you might be on a team just for a lineup where, you know, there's 18 people, and you might not be the biggest fan of one guy on your team, but you guys may never even play on a line together when you're out on the ice. Whereas in Counter-Strike, like, you have to play with this person. Sure, you can say that, you know, you guys play separate sites, but everything is so much closer together. But I don't know, it is a very interesting topic and discussion. Now the real question is, can you is chemistry something you can fake? Like, can you manufacture chemistry? That I think is not easy at all to do. In your view, would Mezzy be a star rifler in any other team? It's hard to say. But he would definitely be very good. I mean, I think when he was on Fnatic, I think he called at that time, if I recall. Or he had a period where he did. But I remember... But I remember he, what's it called? He played a lot of different spots compared to what he does now. That being said, like, I'm a big fan of the way Mezzy plays on Vitality, just because whenever I watch his demos and stuff like that, it always feels like he knows how to position himself in the right way. He always times his peaks well, and he never takes any, you know, he never does anything to put his team in a lot of danger. Like, if he takes a risk, he's doing it in a way that doesn't endanger the rest of his team, which I think is exactly what you need for a player in his spots. Made up for round loss to Heavy God. They should have kept mouths. The crowd buff alone would have made this game less labored. Big fan of your pros approach content. No one does it better than you. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I spend a lot of time on those videos, and, you know, I've always said that I build it for the past version of myself, and I'm just happy that it's resonated a lot with people. Because not everything you make will resonate. Not everything you make is something that people like watching. So, you know, I always keep that perspective. Rob Strap, okay, I gotta hit the bed. Was a good discussion. Enjoy the rest of your stream. Have a good one, man. Good night. Yeah, Mezzy was IGLing on Fnatic. Maybe that was important when he was recruited. Yeah, maybe. I feel like when you IGL, and this applies to any level of play, I'll say, you think more about the game in a different way. Like, you start thinking about the bigger picture of the game. You start accounting for small little things that your team is doing, right? Whereas I feel like when you're not the IGL, you're more so focused on your individual play. And you're thinking about how to position yourself properly, whereas IGL, you're thinking about your team's positioning too. And I think having that perspective of a bigger picture view without it affecting your game or without getting too deep in it, it can be very beneficial. Just because it means that you know that from past experience, you know that you wouldn't want this player to do this kind of thing. So you make sure that when you're that player in that spot, you don't do that thing. Do you think Brokey's lack of forcing openers is a stylistic thing or an actual gap in his game? I mean, it could be a bit of both. It can be a bit of both, just because when you're... I feel like so I'll say that when you're somebody who doesn't go for openings a lot, it's kind of maybe more reflected in your personality in a way, where you're not somebody who likes to like go for those kind of things. It's hard to say, just because it's like, I know there's a saying as well where some people talk about how your personality reflects in your gameplay as well. You know, that's why there's some people who are super, super aggressive, and like when you talk to them as people, you're just like, you know, that kind of matches up. And then when you talk to some people who, you know, are a bit more passive, you notice that like their approach to life is a little bit, you know, maybe more reserved. I don't want to say shy, but just like, you know, they're more calculating, I'll just say. But at the same time, if you don't have some of those options in your playbook, then that is a gap. I like how Pro's approach covers play lines after openings. Well, first of all, thank you, but can you elaborate a little bit more by what you mean play lines after openings? It definitely shows. Much appreciated. Ransom. Phew. Every time I feel like I need to improve an aspect of my game, I go back to your videos to pick up a new trick or approach and just grind that out to embed into my gameplay. It's just timeless. Thank you. I think this is something I've thought about for my videos too, which is how timeless are they? Like, how evergreen are they? Is it something that even 3 years from now, this video will still be very relevant? In the pro scene, maybe not, just because a lot of things get found. There's a lot of new ways that slowly start to develop over years, but maybe from a more casual point of view, or somebody who's just, you know, doesn't keep up with the game, it could be still useful then. That's what I'd like to think, at least. Weird thing with Brokey is that I don't think he's passive like Shiro or James. He just feels very explosive in moments just always late in the round. I mean, that's part of it is also just like when you're an opper, you know, and I'm just saying from a general sense, this is not specific to Brokey, but when you're an opper, at the start of the round, if you have a good spawn, you go for some picks. If not, you're kind of assisting the team in a lot of ways, where you're either throwing nades for them or you're holding angles for them. And then as the round kind of breaks down, where if you're on the T side, then that's more of your opportunity to make things happen just because there's more space on the map. CTs aren't really, what do you call it? CTs aren't blocking everything with nades. No, so, you know, I can understand that. I still send your videos. I still send your videos to players learning CSC because the fundamentals are so solid. Thank you. The CS:GO videos. That's a long time ago. That's a long time ago. I do think that, like in CS:GO, for example, or even between the two CSs, I should say, a lot of the principles are still the same. It's just the small little details are different now. Youngins in the chat don't remember pre-FaZe FPL EU Brokey. Dude, I did not watch pre-FaZe FPL EU Brokey either. That's a long time ago. If you, from nowhere, start liking playing Cave on Ancient, your videos kind of give the catch-up tips on how to play that position. I would say timeless in that sense. Or just helps you understand the position. Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you again. That's kind of my goal when I make those videos. It's just like, how can I basically make a video in the most concise way possible that skips, like, you know, 20, 30 hours of demo watching and just gives you the most important things to know. Where what you do is, if you knew nothing about how to play the position, you just watch this video and you already understand 80% of how to do it. Of course, there's the remaining 20% that comes with actually playing it, experiencing it, and situations that I haven't covered, but like just 80% of it, you're gonna be good with this. Your videos helped me a lot in my games. I appreciate that, man. I'm glad to hear that. Okay, so I'll tell a short story. Back in CS:GO, when I was on NIP, when I was working with NIP, there was one time we did a veto where we let our permaban go through because the other team had the same permaban. And what ended up happening is we played this game of chicken, and then the other team actually let it through, so we had to play it. Like, they picked it. And I remember at that time, Device, once it was decided what the maps were, Device asked, "Yo, do you got a video on how to play this spot?" It's like, and I was like, "Yeah, I do." And he went to go watch it at that moment. And I think that's, you know, partially a thing that's kind of made me think about how these videos can be used. You know, if you're somebody who knows nothing about how to play a certain spot on a map, and you have a decent amount of experience, of course, you know, it just lets you skip like all the hours of watching and researching. So that's just like a way I saw it play out in real life. Mate, even your CSGO content is timeless. The meta will have shifted with CS2, but as you said, your principles remain the same. Also, refreshing with educational videos that don't have AI clickbait thumbnails. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. With my thumbnails, you know, they're nothing special, but they're very different. And I remember when I first put them together, I had seen a lot of thumbnails in the CS YouTube space in terms of people who make educational content. It was just kind of, it felt like a lot of it was very similar. And I just wanted to put something that I knew would be very different and would catch somebody's eye. So that's why my thumbnails are the way they are. And just the style of my editing, you know, it's like, it's nothing that's, I would say, nothing that's super flashy, but it's very streamlined. And I put a lot of effort to make it feel that way.
Think that this is kind of when we talk about map pool, how it's just so obvious that G2 have this one down and they can
insert Mahone looking into the camera, gasping with hands on his face. Yeah, I those NIP vlogs are honestly very, very they're fun to watch. It's crazy that I was on them, now that I think about it. Playlines in the sense that options/solutions to standard starting nades. Lineup videos always cover the starting nades the pros are using, but your videos also kind of cover the counters. Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. I mean, I always try to. Okay, I'll just say that in the past when I made these videos, I didn't really put as much detail into the starting nades. It was more so just you know, throw the Molotov to stop the rush. But nowadays, I try to put much more thought and intention into it to explain like why do people throw this thing all the time? Well, it's because of the timing of this. It's because of this. I try to find all those details a bit more nowadays, even though it might feel, what do you call it? Like you don't truly need to know, but it's important to understand like the fundamentals behind it. Like why do you throw this? Because if you don't, then X could happen. Which player in your career was the best to deal with? Well, in terms of pro player, you know, I only really worked with one team. So, you know, I'd say that working with Hampus was pretty interesting. I worked a lot with the younger players, so like Plopsky, LNZ at that time. And I'd say just in general, the NIP people were pretty chill. Now, of course, things could get intense, but not in a, you know, not in any kind of toxic way. But I really liked working with them. I think the one thing though that I'll just comment on is like when I worked with Device, when he showed me some of the stuff that he did to kind of what do you call it? To kind of structure his play. I was pretty impressed because he goes into a decent amount of detail. Always a big fan of seeing inside how pros understand CS compared to even really high level FaZe. Like James' YouTube has so much more interesting ideas than you see from the average YouTuber. I personally have not seen much of James' content, but I've seen a little bit of it, and I would agree. He does talk about a lot of interesting stuff. I think the main reason why I don't really watch James' stuff as much is just because it's in Russian, and I know there's captions sometimes, but I still don't do it that much. Did you have a stint with ESL giving insight on the maps? Yeah, that was very early on. It was like in early 2022. The idea of those videos was basically just to... it's because I just came out of NIP at the time, and they had seen my YouTube stuff, of course, and they were just asking, you know, if you were to anti-strat a team, what would it look like? You know, of course you don't give like the whole thing because that's a lot of work, a lot of production work and stuff like that. But just, you know, the general ideas, like what would you give? And that's kind of the inspiration for those ESL videos. It was called Plan of Attack at the time. And yeah, I remember there was very good reception for those videos, and they were, I would say that it's not exactly what I would give for an anti-strat, in the sense where I did make sure that the points were much more catered to the general audience, but it was, the process to make those was very similar. Because, you know, there is some like really nerdy type of anti-strat stuff that I could have pulled out, but it was so niche. Like it would have been stuff like, you know, if a team doesn't throw flashbangs at banana, then it means that they're going to be creeping up mid to arch side. You know, something like that. It's like much harder to spot as opposed to something like if the smoke lands in this particular way, or if you see it even land in this spot, it means either A or B is going to happen. Like option A or option B is going to happen. And that's much more easy for the viewer to just understand and just see that it's about to happen. And I remember that happened one time where I think it was a match with Virtus Pro in it, and there was like a top cat smoke or something on Mirage, and then what's it called? As soon as that smoke came out, because it was a very special smoke, I remember Sponge called it out right away and said, "Oh, this is the strat. Like this is, they got Ykinder coming up," which is what I highlighted in my video, but they changed it very slightly. Like instead of 4 people going upper B, they had 4 people going towards A. And just, even though like the thing wasn't exactly to the T, teams do understand that people anti-strat them. So, you know, they try to change small little things where it's like they make the beginning look the same, but then the ending's a little bit different. And I think that's why it was such a, I guess, big hit at the time. It wasn't really a big hit, but it was just a nice piece.
This is a moment where G2 should see themselves as the favorites. You don't want to see any of that timid action.
Is there any maps where different pro teams set up massively different on CT side? Can only think Overpass where Russian teams play so passive on A, whereas European teams play much more aggro. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really think that's really a thing nowadays. I feel like a lot of the teams play very similarly. Like they do the same kind of stuff. It's just the details are a little bit different. But, you know, to be honest, I don't really sit down and like decipher team by team how they play. I mostly just kind of see it as like an overall picture, especially when I make my videos. I'd say that I remember back in the day, like back when Gambit was playing, when they were on the rise, when they were the best team in the world, I remember the way they handled Inferno Banana was so different compared to every other team. Because they'd be the only team where they just sit in the bomb site. They don't even throw any nades at Banana. They show no presence at all. And they just sit in boosted spots. And that was very different compared to every other team, which would generally at least throw nades at Banana, fight for Banana in some sort of way. So, you know. But I think today, in today's era, I feel like a lot of teams play very similarly. It's just like they might just have a couple of gimmicks or tricks that only they do that eventually get adopted. Like there's so much. It's hard to hide a strat nowadays, especially because when you practice nowadays in Pro CS, like I don't know if this is still true because I'm not like truly an insider, but I know demos, if you record a POV demo during a scrim, like you can see what the other team is doing nowadays, like using tools like Skybox Edge and stuff like that. So, you know, you can't hide your strats as nearly as well as you used to. It's just not a thing. Your editing style is underrated, IMO. Feels like listening to a professor who doesn't self-insert for the sake of the content. Thank you, man. Thank you. I try my best to try to streamline the sentences and the words like as succinctly as possible while also making it pretty understandable for even somebody who doesn't have like a ton of experience in the game. Like I'm not gonna use jargon and stuff like that. I try to avoid jargon as much as possible, and just try to explain the thing as simply as I can. So I appreciate that. I used to work as an esport coach at a high school in Sweden. A lot of my kids were CS/Valo players. Me having a lot of interest in this aspect of FPS games gave me a lot of inspiration for our sessions. That's pretty cool. Okay, so I heard this when I was on NIP that, you know, you could take CS as a class in high school. Can you elaborate? Since you said you actually did that, what was it like? What was the typical day like, and what was the plan over the course of the year? I'm interested in hearing.
Yeah, puts himself in a position where he can have an early flank as well, go for information if the map stays silent for too long. Senpai's making plenty of noise cues. They know his position, but he would love a piece of intel, and now
all right. So map 3. I feel like I completely glossed over Ancient, but map 3 here. Got double flashes here towards connector. It's gonna go through the smoke. Ooh. There's some nice shots by Frozen. It's interesting because they had some pressure towards Cat, and then they did a con flash push.
Nobody considered Palace until it was far too late. What a round from Frozen. And Mattis, you don't even have time to defuse. 1v3, you gotta find the kills as well. It's a pistol round.
Oof. I liked what he was doing there. The person close up CT jump spotting. Because then normally when you're in a numbers advantage, your goal is just to figure out where the your goal is to really just come out of the, or figure out where the last person's coming out from. And the mistake that a lot of the time happens is whenever you're up in a clutch situation like that, when you're up 3v1, everybody just tries to hold an angle, and then the person clears it perfectly. But the goal should be to jump spawn and make yourself hard to die, so that once you figure out where the person is, then you work together to take them down and just trade. I could go into detail, but some of a TLDR, you can apply for an esport course instead of like computer science. They will do a lot of similar courses that others.
And Heavy God's got good standing in towards A main. FaZe gonna be very slow to move around the map.
So gonna be slow mid default. Resmoking window. They're gonna group back towards A. Looks like New is going to lurk up Con. Question is, do they put a bit of pressure towards B before they go up? Like, is there going to be some nades or flashes towards Cat? Oof.
Frozen to topple Nurts. Heavy God. In a tough spot now. He realizes he has to fight. He can't run away. And that fight is not going to be easy. Heavy God unable
No, that's
to
rough.
get into it.
Most of these kills, or rather, the first kill came from the player repositioning from the palace area, and then after that, Heavy God, he got spotted. Like he saw the feet of a player coming up on the Tetris side.
Obviously, that's not going to happen this time. No economic decisions that FaZe make
I'm gonna raise this up a little bit more.
Again. And then when you see FaZe come back the way they did in the second half over there in Ancient, you start to think more about that start.
And as I mentioned before, you know, whenever you're in these forced rounds or rounds where it's a half buy kind of deal, you always want to have some kind of setup in mind where you can work off each other. In this particular case, you know, they're just taking these fights one-on-one. And Heavy God was actually relying on him playing the shadow angle at ramp, but the guy came up top, so it didn't work out. Weird how no big teams have picked up Blame F. Feels like he's done his time in Tier 2 to get another shot at the top. Yeah, we'll see. Oh my god. Yeah, Blame F has always been a strong individual player. I'm sure he's had to reinvent himself in some sort of way as the time has gone, but I don't know. Blur wasn't here. Yo, what's up, man?
Would have been good out of a cowboy boot. Would have been great out of a cowboy boot. That would be intense. Don't know what we'd call it.
A booty.
All right, top mid control. And up against the pistols, I mean, there's really not much. You have
Memorizing smoke lineups for a pop quiz. That's crazy, man. I don't know, that just sounds so foreign to me if that was actually a thing. Can you smoke window? Do you know what this niche smoke does? The one that lands far up towards cat, you know? Just that esports has is their focus course. We have our own kind of studio with PCs, usually starting the classroom with a topic like mental or whatever. Ah, okay. So you guys actually have PCs. So when you guys talk about it, is it more like do you guys talk about the mechanics of the game, or are you guys more so talking about what you can do with the game, or like what is it more? Is it more of like is the goal to more so establish like this is like a sport in that sense, or like a hobby that you could take a bit more seriously? Like what's the vibe of it exactly? Surprised that's my first chat ever, TBH. Yeah, does say first message.
But they're waiting for this to fade, and now is the time.
Fades away. Frozen. The most comfortable player in Palace is his usual spot, but it's plenty more where that came from. And Heavy God doesn't care about the call. He shuts down all three players in Palace. This is his domain. And that's G2 showing.
All right, so
shows a Heavy God because he didn't need anybody else.
2v5 right now. Brokey's still with the op. Bombs down Palace. The goal for them is mainly just to try to find the kills in some sort of way. Brokey's going to put a little bit of pressure so that there's a chance for Twist to find an opening somewhere.
I don't know if Brokey really wants to challenge for this draw. Jumping to get the information of Sun Pius, but backing off, and this is going to end up being a save.
But it looks like it's going to be a save just because Brokey has an op. That's still pretty important. And they have a decent amount of money as well on FaZe, where if they save these two guns, they should be able to buy for the next two-ish. No, one full buy, and the second one would probably be a bit of a half.
And here he goes again. From his perspective again, one more time. 3 kills from Palace, ready for every single fight. Crazy to see him not get traded out.
Not even terrible timings on the swing. You know, like
I think the Danes have similar high school choruses.
or anything like that. They went for the trade, just no one could get the kill. So 3-1. And with 5 players surviving on G2.
Good question. Kids in these courses are usually above average in their respective games. Mixing hobby with school gives it some interest. They usually want to do good, so they will actually try hard. If I remember correctly, it was more on building mental fortitude and team building. A lot of these schools participate in local and regional high school LANs. Okay, I don't actually know how to pronounce that, but I know what that is. It's a big one in Sweden with multiple schools. So when you guys go and compete, when schools compete against each other, do you guys go to each other's schools, or do you guys just do it online? Like, do you guys go to each other's schools and compete at the LAN that's there? Because if you guys did, that'd be really cool. Like, that's almost like a, you know, home team versus away team type of deal.
Some saving grace here for FaZe as they try and get up towards the A site. Smokes are up in place. They break open. Tobias not able to connect any of the shots just yet. As FaZe trying to get that bomb over towards default, and they will plant it.
G2 needs to get someone in CT spawn. There's no one home whatsoever to challenge from that angle. And now
Alright, so it's a 5v4 right now. Sunpius has a couple flashes. He's probably going to flash CT. He's going to flash CT for all these people. He's going to flash it behind them so that all 3 of them can swing out. Ooh.
They move into it. Brokey not able to connect towards connector. He's down and leaving frozen. 1v4 from Tetris, and he can't do anything about it.
That was so awesome for Sunpius to still have those flashes there to set that up. The only thing I would say though that is with FaZe, if they have 3 people towards that CT side, maybe they should have just pushed that sooner. Because even though you have one player playing anti-flash, like, it's very hard to fight off 3 guys. A lot of these first, second, and third years are mixed into teams and compete. Competing in these lands is a way for them to get higher grades. So we used to have boot camps and prep. It takes, or it varies a lot from school to school, but that's how I used to do it. Yeah, Denmark was really ahead on this, and I loved them for it. Dude, that's crazy. You guys had boot camps as well? So when you guys play, like, if you guys are... Okay, well, actually, how many people are in a class? Because I was just curious, like, do you guys have, like, this, like, normally in North America, I'll just say, like, in high school, for example, what I experienced was there were about 30-ish kids in a class, which in CS terms means that there's 6-ish teams. Or no, sorry. Yeah, 6-ish teams. So does that mean, like, you guys have teams built in within the classes, or do you guys... How does that work? Or do you guys just... Or is it more like gym class where each day you could be part of a different team and, you know, it's a different exercise type of deal? Alright, holding the angle at connector. First shot in. Second player drops nades so that the person can't fall up behind them. Now, they should be aware of possible window boosts in a moment here. Notice he's already checking it. Now, he should be aware that the player could have gone in already, but... So this spot here in front of the upper B smoke is pretty common nowadays. Let's see if they actually clear it. It feels like Twist is aware, because he's already setting himself up to peek it. But Manus was actually slightly off, like he was slightly further away from the chair. Twist was actually getting ready to pre-aim him right next to the chair, which is the typical spot. Alright, 1v2. So he knows that Market is compromised. Now the question is, can he clear this out well enough? And NetNew, very good job there. I'm just making sure that he gets information, because once he gets information, now Brokey knows roughly where he's coming from. Now they're in a crossfire, because if Netnu dies holding that particular angle for the window, Brokey just peeks out. This was the crux for my school, at least. One class would be around 23 to 28 people with 4 or 5 CS Valor players, some Fortnite, even Rocket League players. Wow, so you guys had more than just CS as well. It's like, was it more of a gaming class then, if that's the case? Alright, so right here, notice just Jiggle peeking with the smoke. Sunpius holding the angle at top mid. And the goal is just that basically the connector player needs to hold underpass as long as possible so that Sunpius can actually find a kill towards top mid. They're going to reset though. So the question is, does Sunpius actually rotate around? No, he's actually going to come back. Okay, so a flash is going to come through. Peek from window. Didn't have a good shot, so he's going to fall back.
Doesn't want the repeat against the op either. But the middle of the map firmly controlled by FaZe. Jacob, Brokey, and Twist all there. Does Brokey get good time?
Ooh.
Yes, he does. Hunter up on top of ticket. His is punched. He's met his final destination.
Professional Prider. Hello, my friend. You're the goat, dude. The analysis you put out is gold each time. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Anything you'd like to see for a future spot or position? Yeah, it's more of a gaming class, which made it difficult. Hard to apply CS econ theory to Fortnite. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes more sense. At first, I thought it was actually a dedicated CS class. Or, well, I don't know. Maybe it is in Denmark.
Hunter getting picked off, just looking for some intel from here. Nerds inside the smoke. They couldn't find him, back and forth.
What's up,
No chance they're gonna catch
Mr. Xfinity? Thanks for the follow, dude.
And Heavy God handles Palace and A ramp.
It's looking like no way FaZe dropped that after the start they get to the round. Getting into connector looked like that.
Alright, 4-3. So one op on Brokey. I'm guessing he's going to try to find a pick towards A. Now, the rest of his teammates, they have a decent amount of utility, so looks like it's probably just going to be an A pop. And the idea is to try to get Brokey in a post-plant situation where he can try to win the round. Looks like Frozen here. He's going to toss some nades out of Palace. Actually, never, yeah, he's got some nades. Might toss a molly or something under Palace.
Oh, very patient out of FaZe. Hunter and Mattis on shorts and Pius and B. No indication of what's happening on the map. No sound cues. No T-side utility until just now.
Yeah, well, all the signs are coming forward. Heavy God goes in right past Frozen, who was blinded. So Heavy God gets his kill. Even better.
Ooh, Nerds on the bench, creeping the smoke. And here it is, Brokey in the post plant. So if they get the bomb down at the very minimum, if they get the bomb down, there's a chance here. Ooh. Alright, Brokey in the post plant. Now there's a certain timing he was trying to find there towards CT. Couldn't quite find it, so he's still isolating himself as much as possible from the player who's coming from stairs. Now that smoke is going to make things difficult, but it also creates an angle for him to just creep on the side. There it is. Now he knows this last player is coming through. Oh! Nice try, nice try. There aren't as many of them yet in schools here in Sweden from what I know. Here's the hoping. CT, B, Anubis, or mid would be really sick. It feels so suffocating to hold if you don't have early advantage as CT. Yeah, it's true. CT Anubis B is quite tough, and mid, I know some people earlier said that there is the the new update has changed things, of course.
Here we go. Yeah, now it's on. Okay. Well,
But the competing aspect was what really made a year fun, a timeline for a lot of them to work on specific aspects in CS, Valor, League, etc., etc.
definitely that you hear them yelling when they realize they won it at the end.
Yeah, I think
Okay, timeout taken straight
I think building a purpose into the course or the class as a whole is a great idea, just because it kind of gets the players focused on some kind of goal that's more, what do you call it? It feels a little bit bigger than yourself, just because you're part of a class, as opposed to, what do you call it? As opposed to just playing for yourself and, you know, just yourself for the most part. Will you stream tomorrow and or the grand final? I have to go now. Good night, everyone. Yeah, I think so. I think I'll stream one of the games. Are you planning on streaming the Australis Gamer Legion match after this as well? Yeah, I'm not sure if I'll do that. I might, but I will stream tomorrow. I will pick one of the matches to stream tomorrow. Have a good one, Watch Tech Socha. I hope I pronounced your name right.
The consequences of losing this round are devastating for the other side. I mean, FaZe, if you lose it, G2's going to tie this up. G2, if you lose this round, this 3 versus 3, FaZe just catapults into an incredible lead. And Hunter's the man who's going to be called upon to contain this. How far does Jacob go before a teammate arrives?
This is such a difficult spot to clear. Whenever a CT is towards the van, just because when you come down, there's so much area for you to scan. You don't exactly know where that player is going to be towards van. Group projects would be so easy to evaluate and grade. So my question is actually, so brawlers, I play a lot of old gymnas. Okay, how do I pronounce that? Gymnasiagen? I feel like I'm butchering that so much. Players in the company league, most are insanely washed at that point. Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, if there was anybody who's in, like, the school league, I'll just say. Is there anybody who's, like, super, super good? Like, almost seems like they might have a chance at pro if they really tried to go for it. Like, are there any Gymnasiagan? No, totally got it wrong. Sorry, man. Alright, man, have a good one. Okay, so how do I say this? Gymnasialigan. Man, I wish I worked on my Swedish more. God damn. Alright, so that's actually one thing that I'll say about NIP when I reflect on my time there. I wish from day one I spent time learning Swedish, because I will say that, like, by the end of my time there, in terms of comms and in-game stuff, I could reasonably understand what they were saying with the context added in-game. But I wish I had that, like, right from the start, you know? Yeah, I think. I remember LNZ playing. Yeah. I think you did. He told me about that. I don't know which one, but he did tell me about it. Right now I'm playing against Zelos in the company league, and we played the major like 12 years ago. Oh, man. Man, that's crazy stuff. What you guys are describing is like, this is unheard of in North America. Like, parents would probably laugh at you. Mr. Xfinity, sup, man? I saw your video about D2 mid on YouTube. Solid video. Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
That's crazy. Like, it's insane over there what's happening. That team has been falling apart. If you lose this game to them, I think that takes a lot of wind out of your sails heading into the major. It absolutely does. I mean, these are two teams on very different trajectories right now, right? G2 trying to become a competitive team at the World Championships. FaZe from free fall, didn't qualify for the major, lost their in-game leader, who's gone to Falcons, and now you're in a situation where you're sitting here as FaZe, and all of a sudden you're in desperate need of VRS points, and they're actually in a good spot.
You're an NIP at one point in time, yeah, back in 2021. So I had the YouTube channel Mahone_TV while back in 2020, and I don't want to say it blew up, but it was it got a lot of attention. This was back before like I had done any broadcast stuff. Like CS was not like my career at that time. So it was at that time where a lot of people had seen the videos I make, similar to now, I'd say. Like the format is very similar. Of course, the videos now today are way better produced compared to what it was back then. But yeah, a couple teams had reached out, and NIP was the one that I was actually able to make a deal with. Joe Bob cooking a main channel video. Not right now, I'll be honest, not right now, but there will be one day. And as I said before, the main channel video will be, you know, one of those documentary style type of videos. I don't know when it's gonna happen, but that's my intention. Because there's a lot of people who generally, what's it called? There's still a lot of people who watch that video even today, or those videos, I'll say. And I kind of want to maintain that audience, just because I feel like that audience or that channel has been made a bit more as like a entertainment type of channel with those particular videos. What was the reason you created the second channel? Was it for the algorithm? So a little bit of both. So the first thing was just that I had created the second channel because last year for Blast Austin, I was asked if I wanted to bring Mahone Zone back, which is the broadcast segment that many of you probably know of. I was asked if I wanted to bring that back. I didn't know if I really wanted to do it yet, but I wanted to know if I was interested. So what I had done was just I want to just make a video on YouTube to just see if I want to think about the game in that way. And I just want, like, just going through the process, I figured that it would help me decide, because it wasn't something I was like, I'm definitely wanting to do it. It was I needed some time to decide. And after I'd made that video, all I did was I decided I didn't want it to be a main channel video, just because there's no guarantee I was going to keep uploading. I might have just uploaded it and then just left if I wasn't interested in doing that more. So I decided to do it on a second channel. I didn't promote it anywhere. It was just on my second channel. YouTube was great at finding the right viewers to watch it. People still somehow found it. And I made a couple of those just to see how I felt. And after doing them, I decided, you know what? Maybe I should just do Blast Austin. So that's kind of how it started. But because so many people had found those videos somehow, I kind of decided that I want to just continue to upload on the second channel, just because I want to kind of build an audience again where they're more focused on just improving at the game. Like, that's kind of the main difference. Because when I talk to people in real life about my first channel, about what the most memorable videos were, like, of course the window smoke video and the banana control video were very memorable, but the second one was actually the position videos. So I decided to do that for the second channel too. And I decided that this would be just that. I never covered all the spots in the game. And I think that's a goal of mine for this channel, is to actually cover all the spots in the game. It's going to take a long time, because each video takes a while, but I'll get there. At least that's the hope. Mr. Xfinity, what got you into content creation? So, I'm gonna go back quite far at this point. So for this particular YouTube channel, well, not this one, but like my first one, Mahone_TV, I had started uploading content just because by the time I was done competing, one of my past teammates, one of my friends, he had said that I had a really good mind for the game because when we competed together on a team, we were watching some demos together, and I was just kind of breaking down stuff or like explaining really well what the pros were doing, and he felt like it really opened his eyes. It felt like it really opened his eyes. So, you know, after that experience, you know, we were just talking, he was saying, you know what, you should start a YouTube channel. I feel like there'd be so many people that benefit from what you can bring. And those words kind of stuck with me. I didn't actually do it until maybe a year later, at least. It wasn't until I basically stopped playing the game where I decided that, you know what, I should create some YouTube content, because I think there's some people out there that could benefit from the experience that I've gained in the game and just kind of how I see the game. And yeah, that's what I did. Some of my earliest videos they're still up on my first channel. When I look back at them now, I cringe a little bit just because of how not as polished they were. But in order to be good at something, you kind of have to be bad at it at first. So that's what I'm doing. Or so that's what I did. And yeah, over time, I made more videos and started to get noticed by bigger people in the scene. And yeah, that's basically it. It allowed me to get a lot of opportunities and kind of change my career. So long story short, that's how I got into it. You're the GOAT, man. Your videos are so helpful. Thank you, good guy Theo. I appreciate that a lot, man. Might have to do Cash one soon. I actually have a really old Cash video on my first channel. I actually looked back at it today and I was just like, you know, it'll be soon. There will be a time where I have to remake that video and it'll be a lot better than what it was back then. Man, I hope Mahone Zone returns to the death segments. It's how I first discovered your content. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, when I had left Blast, it was my decision to leave, to stop doing those segments. They were happy for me to continue, but I don't know. I was just not feeling it anymore. Long story short. Sorry for spamming. Hope I brought you some insight. Have a good rest of your stream. Have a good one, Axel. Yo, thanks a lot for expanding on this whole school esports course, or gaming course, I should say. Thank you for sharing that, man. Honestly. I'm building Mixer Xfinity. I'm building a web-based 3D demo review and coaching tool for CS2 so you can leave notes and extract them to ticks and extract utility lineups and setups plus analytics. The goal is to just have better teammates. That sounds pretty cool, man. What would you say is going to be the thing that sets you apart from some of the other tools that exist out there? You know, stuff like Skybox Edge, or, you know, Leadify, or Refrag even. I mean, it'd be cool to hear more about what you have in store, assuming if you're willing to share, that is. Floral, yeah, your videos are immensely helpful. Thank you, man. What would you say is the most helpful part of those videos? I'm always kind of curious about how what is it exactly? Because people give me different answers as to what they find helpful. I know some people, they say that the timings, me laying it out and explaining the timings, is really helpful. I know some people say that I explain certain things in a very simple, concise, digestible way, where it doesn't feel confusing. And, you know, I dislike Leadify because it keeps telling me I'm bad, and that doesn't fit agenda. That's funny. Man, those Steam messages are nice though, man. Or I shouldn't say nice. They can get you. Throwing util sets is easy, but knowing when to do it and why that matters is game changing. Okay, okay.
Almost better than winning the pistol if you can pull it off. 4 players stacked towards the B bomb site, 1 in ladder room. Frozen on short.
When you do CT position videos, I take what you show and I use it in my own plays. And the stuff you show is really helpful. So would you say then that, you know, when you're in that area, would you say then it's like when you're in that area, you're just kind of like, oh, I remember this spot from the video. I know I can use it, and I know I can use it in XYZ way. Is it kind of like that? Not gonna lie, teaching us how to play default and some strats is really helpful. When you say that, are you referring to the T side stuff or the CT side stuff? Google user. Do you just mean like do you just mean like it just gives you options because otherwise you just kind of hold the angle? Is that kind of what you mean? Or yeah, so I mean, the only reason why I'm asking all these questions is just because I'm curious about what it is exactly. You know, of course, there's YouTube comments, which I appreciate a lot, by the way. So thank you if you guys do leave a comment. But more so just like, you know, I just want to know more of the specifics. I think, Druba, I think you're really good at describing positions and how to maximize your worth in that round. Do you guys find it really helpful when or rather, okay, so what I like to do with my videos generally is I like to show it in a practice server. Do you guys find that helps a lot when I do that compared to just showing the POV of the pro doing it, like in third person? Like, does the fact that it's in practice mode, is that useful? Sorry, I also realize I'm asking some leading questions, which I feel like I shouldn't. Also, if you don't know how to play the position at all, it helps you learn how to play it. Yeah, it gives some sort of script in my head to think about instead of aimlessly walking around. Yeah, that's exactly kind of my intention. That's kind of my intention too. Is just like where I hope that when you're in that area and you're sitting in a spot, you're just like, oh, you know, I should stand in this particular way because of XYZ. And I also know that if I need to fall back, I can then go to this spot, or I know how to handle it, you know? Also, I absolutely love how you show how angles look from different POVs. Arin Nora. Man, some of these names. Hope I pronounced that right. It gives us a visual idea in that situation. Yeah, okay. Your Mirage A site video really plays in my head every time I hold the site. Okay, so another question. Do you ever rewatch my videos? Like, has there ever been a time where you watched my video and then maybe a month later you kind of forget some aspects? Do you ever rewatch it? Or is it more so something where you just watch it once and that's enough for you to understand it fully? Oh, what a setup this is. 4 people underpass, just Glocks.
Which round from him? He had the quad kill in the first half as well. He's had some huge impact here on Mirage in critical moments for FaZe. Good to see him step up like this.
Okay, so it's 8-7. I wasn't even paying attention to the score, quite honestly. Ooh, that's a grenade. Oh, okay, yeah. At first, I only saw the first 2 health bars. I was like, wait, that only... Ooh. 100%. I watched it like 2-3 times in a couple of days. Yes, only if I forget something. Most of the time, your videos laid out clear enough where I remember it all. For some angles and utilities, yes. You have to go back and rewatch, I feel like. I favorite the videos so you can go back and rewatch. Yeah, I had to go back and rewatch the Anubis Con videos when they brought back Anubis back into the map pool. Okay, yeah, so I did notice that. I did notice that when they brought that back, I saw some new views coming for that particular video because once it was out of the map pool, I feel like those videos were watched much less. But once it was brought back, I did see more people watching that again. Might need to update it, but I think for that particular position, a lot of it is still very similar. So probably not an update until later. Personally, I watched like 4 different videos, and then when I get the map on FaceIt, I rewatch that map's video. Oh, okay. Kevin, wow. Rewatch always is necessary. What's up, man? I hope you're doing well. I rewatch positions that I play, especially if you cover off angles that I forget about. Rocket League effects. I would really enjoy a vid about op on the maps. Many players have different approaches. So I will have an op video someday. I know I keep saying that, but it will happen. I think the structure of it will probably be that it covers both sides in one. At least that's what I think. But we'll see. We'll see. If you did have to pick one map for an op, which one would you want to see?
Gonna back to a different angle, maybe even backing through the murder hole as well. B is being challenged. Okay, one on catwalk spotted. That's the fight Twist was looking for, but Nerds wins it out. Prolonged fight, but G2 on top. The position of Jacob could be an X factor. 13 seconds, that's all they've got. Hunter going into Frozen wins an important fight. He can stop the bomb plant. The X factor is taken out by Heavy God, and the plant is here. It's down for G2.
Yeah, they're gonna save. They don't have the HP, minimal nades. I think now that's interesting that you guys talked about rewatching. I know I've seen a couple comments like that where people talk about rewatching, but it's just kind of nice that you guys kind of put it in the way that you did. Seeing as how you guys talk about like some of the positioning and some utilities. I do know about, you know, people rewatching the nade lineups. Just because when I go back and look at like the retention graph, for example, I can see the spikes for specifically the nade lineups, and I know that people try to extract or figure out the lineups from my videos, which is, at least for me, I tend not to focus on exactly how to throw those nades. I just kind of just show them for the most part, and you know, if you want to copy it, I also include what kind of throw it is. That's the most I do though. I don't really focus too much on it just because the lineups change a lot, and over time they get better too. Are you a skins enjoyer? I honestly I'm not. That's probably the one thing that I don't know very much about, quite honestly. I played CS during a time, or rather, like when I first started playing CS, it was during a time where there were no skins at all. So I think I just kind of got used to that. Platterco. I think someone already mentioned this, but I particularly really enjoy when you show the opposite POV. I think a lot of people don't realize how important it is to understand your own player model in relation to the other player trying to kill you. I'm really glad that you said that, because I absolutely feel the same way, which is why I show them as much as I can. Just because a lot of the time, as you say, like when you're playing a spot and you're trying to get an angle on somebody, you don't really realize what it looks like from the enemy's POV. Because then when you see it sometimes, you see how you'll see how ridiculous you look. Like you'll see you're just completely out in the open, whereas you thought you had like, you know, some sick angle on the guy, but it's just not true. And I think sometimes people also don't realize where they're exposed from, or like which angles, like how much the enemy can actually see you versus how much you can see them. That's an important part as well. So yeah, I mean, I try to test this stuff in a server as much as possible, you know? Like even for things that I think I already understand, when I test it in a server, that's like, that's where my mind explodes a little bit, where it's just like, oh, okay. That's why it works. And you know, I know there's some certain situations or positions where even the player using them doesn't necessarily understand that fact, or they can't convey that fact in the same way. Yes, big agree. Also timings. Yeah, the timings one is a big one. I see a lot of people talk about that, which I think is interesting, because it's not that people don't realize it's a big deal, but it's more so just that it's so hard to test. Like, it's very annoying and it's pretty boring to test. Adrenaline CS, what's up, man? Thanks for the follow, dude. Yeah, I think that's like the kind of the annoying thing. Such as the M4 A1S barrel sticking out without you realizing, or your back exposed. Yeah, like those are things that you have to test in a server, like with a friend or, you know, with a bot, you know. There's ways to do it, and it is probably the most boring thing, but it is very cool and satisfying when you find out something where you're just like, I didn't actually know about that before. Would you consider remaking your old series on entry pathing, some of your best content, IMO? I imagine even on old maps there are some differences from now compared to several years ago. What's up, man? How you doing, Adrenaline? Yeah, so I have thought about this, you know, in terms of like pathing. I do try to cover it as much as I can when I did some of the T-side videos, but you know, not as much of I'm dedicating completely to just talking about like how the angles work and like how you're coming in and stuff like that. It's funny, this is one of those other video formats where like back then there weren't that many people that watched the pathing videos, but it's something that's brought up as that's very useful kind of thing.
G2 will maintain this control for at least a little bit longer. FaZe are going to try and position themselves. They're ready for this retake, but it's a pause to let Frozen make his move. Yeah, and G2's not
Yeah, because like, you know, when you come out Mirage, for example, there's different ways you can come out. You could either come close to the palace, where you try to catch the guy as fast as possible with your flashes, or you know, you take the more safer path where you go towards Sandwich and then take a wider angle, or on Inferno, for example, you either go up on the first oranges or you take the wider path to Pool, and there's situations when you should do either one. It's time to shift back to the grind. Advance next season. Let's roll. Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, you used to play 1.6, right? Like you were 1.6 invite. So I think I'm pretty sure that's where I remember you from. Yeah. What was the team that you were on before? Because I feel like those frag movies that I've seen of you. Loaded. Okay, yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was. Yeah. That's a long time ago. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I watched those videos when I was like 16 or something like that. I'm much older now, but I guess it kind of shows my age. And I imagine you're even older too, so it's cool to see that you're still playing CS. Yeah, hell yeah, dude. Alright. 3v4 situation. Whoa, that's a nice angle. The van angle. I don't see that used very often. Oh. No time. Looks like G2 gonna go on match point there. Dude, I love it. Took a long break. What made you come back? Did you come back for CS:GO? Like, did you come back when CS2 was announced, or did you start playing CS:GO before that? Rocket League effects. I don't know if you're still here, but like, when you talk about the opping videos, what's the thing that you actually want to know the most from it? Is it the opening picks? Is it where do you stand mid-round? Is it how do you work with your teammates? What is it exactly? And I mean, I guess this question goes for anybody who's actually interested in a video that's about opping. Okay, so different types of openings. Yeah, there's definitely a lot. Or there's definitely a good amount. Some of them require some good movement, at least on Mirage. You know, if you join the ladder room peak, and then towards B apps, you have to boost with the player. All right, 2-on-4 here. So a few flashes, 1 HE, and Brokey just doing a good job just holding, knowing that they have to push in some sort of way. Oh my god, no way. Oh, he almost got it. It came back right around COVID and grinded Valorant for a couple years. Then switched to CSGO about a year before CS2 came out. Ooh. Around COVID, yeah, I think that's when Valorant came out, so. What was it like playing Valorant? And did it feel refreshing to come back to CS? If only I knew the industry was going to explode, I wouldn't have stopped playing around CSGO beta days. Did you at least play CSGO beta at the time? I mean, CSGO beta was really rough. It was pretty, it was too sourcey. It's true, it's true. I came from Source, so like when I played Go, I know there are a lot of people who said that it felt more like Source than 1.6. But even then, despite that though, it was still a rough shape. Like it was still, at least in beta form, it was very very unpolished. Some things that just didn't feel right. Alright, this is going to be a rough retake for FaZe. They all have to pass through the CT smoke. Oh. Oh. God damn. Oh, he dinked him too. You gotta be kidding me. That's crazy. That's insane, man. That is a tragic way to lose. But no, it's not. They're not losing. They might. Who knows? Although I know this would take a lot of time to do, but it would be amazing if you made a video that's probably a bit longer that explains roles like Opper, Lurker, Entry, how to play on different maps. Also, how teams do certain plays like Eco B Rush with exit pre-smoke and flashes, and maybe when to play contact and forward rush and stuff like that. Yeah, stuff like that is like a bit more nerdy, I'll say. Or well, it depends on how deep you go, because like I think just like kind of talking about how the players are also to interact on a map is, what do you call it, a bit more. I feel like there's a lot of content like that out there. I feel like there's a lot of content out there like that, and I will admit I try to make stuff that people haven't made yet, you know. But that being said, I do understand that you guys like the way I explain things or talk about things. But I'll keep that in mind. Because yeah, there are a lot of small things that, like, you know, my particular videos don't cover. Are you playing a lot or keeping up with the meta from watching Tier 1 games? Yeah, I mean, basically most of my CS time just goes to making the videos. The research takes a while, editing takes a while. And, you know, I spend a lot of time just because I feel like CS deserves this. Back when I played, like, you know, it's a long time ago. Even longer than most people who've started playing the game. I'm just, you know, creating stuff that I wish existed. And I'll be honest, like back then when I competed, like I wasn't a nerd. I was maybe a bit more, I guess, cerebral, but like I didn't watch demos and stuff like that. It wasn't until I started actually making my YouTube videos 5 years ago or so that I started thinking more in this way. Yeah, I mean, I'd say just like, I am very much in the demos way more than actually watching the games too. Watching the games in, like, on stream is very hard to understand, like, what's actually happening. And yeah, I appreciate that as well. You said, because you're literally 100% accurate with your videos. Thank you. I spend a lot of time to make sure they're as accurate as possible. I know there's some things that, like, there might be some things I'm missing sometimes. Sometimes it's on purpose because, like, I just don't think it's that important. Other times it's because sometimes I just didn't realize it. But yeah, I'm not perfect, but I try to do the best I can. There's some cool ideas like Molodoy on Nuke, running from heaven to top hut, jumping near vent to peak door from the other side. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah. The one where he goes on top hut and he jumps across the other side of door. It's a nice peak because it's better than, you know, going through from mini. Since from mini, the guy can already hold the angle. But yeah. Anyone who watches your content is a CS nerd. See, I used to think that. But I realized that, like, I get a lot more people who, or more people than I realize, who are more like slightly more beginners to the game than I realize. Because to me, like, I always thought that my videos would just cater to people who are, you know, playing on teams, who have competed and all that stuff. But I realize that's not entirely the case. Even though I cater to those people, generally speaking, I still try to make it appeal to people who don't have as much experience. Have you watched Grash Hog? He's probably one of my favorite current CS content creators. Yeah, I've seen some of his videos. He has a nice way of explaining things as well. And, you know, I'll be honest as well, like for me, I do, what do you call it? I do appreciate people who are able to kind of articulate their thoughts like pretty live, in the sense where like they're just doing what I'm doing right now, but they're like analyzing the game at the same time. I feel like I'm not as good at doing that, which is why I go to edited content for the most part. And like even when I did Mahone Zone back then, it's like I was editing the whole video and everything, and that was like probably that was like the closest thing that I did to live, which is I give the presentation live. But in terms of just like watching the demo and then kind of going through it, that's something that I don't have as much experience in, I'll say. Because it takes a bit of time for me to like script my videos and figure out the right way to say things and to show the right visuals as well. And even as I try to, or even as I craft the video, sometimes I learn about things that I didn't realize before, and then I have to edit it in or figure out a way to reframe the part. But I mean, that's this nerdy YouTube talk I guess I'm doing right now. Damn, I just saw a black bars user on G2. Hey man, still happens. I think it's a dying breed nowadays, so people still play like that. How much did you spend on CS the Oni haul? Honestly, I'm not much of a skins person, so I'll say not too much. Yeah, that makes sense. Some things are so situational / one-off plays that take away from the core idea of the video. You found a good blend of distilling the key ideas / approaches combined with the plays and common exploits. Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Thank you. I think my goal, as I've mentioned before, is basically just like, I want it to be, like when I make these videos, I want it to be, if you're somebody who, I'll just say, is generally experienced in the game, but just needs to know how to play a certain spot and wants to know how to do it in like a pretty good way, I'll just say, the video will get you 80% of the way there. Like if you just do the things in the video, you're 80% of the way there. The last 20% is from experience, from playing, from, you know, what you're experiencing yourself. That remaining 20% is not things I'm necessarily going to cover. At least that's the goal. That's what I try to do. Rocket League FX is a CS tryhard, yeah. Yo, Adrenaline CS, got a question. Do you watch mini demos? Like in terms of, or even just CS POV videos, like, you know, Lim CS, stuff like that on YouTube? Yeah, a fair amount. Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting, like people who, I'll casually watch Lim YouTube at night and then try to demo things each day. You should do a video to title "The Struggles of Grinding the 3K Elo and Face It in NA." I feel like the tougher part about that thing is it's more of a mental game. I'm very confused. What do you consider an inexperienced versus experienced below level 10, 2.5k elo scrims player? So I'd just say that like what I consider a more experienced player, at least in the context of what I think, is just somebody who already like has played CS for, I'll just say, a couple years. Like they know how to counter strafe, they generally know how to pre-aim, they know how to spray, you know, they don't need to be taught like the core mechanics, and as well they kind of know how the maps play. Like they know that there's supposed to be an outside player on nuke. They know that they know the standard default setups, like like on Inferno T side, they know there should be a guy apps, there should be a guy banana, like that kind of thing. So you don't necessarily have to be somebody who's like, you don't have to be somebody who like pugs all the time or scrims all the time or anything like that. Just somebody who doesn't need to be told like how to counter strafe kind of thing. Because I know there's lots of content out there that talks about these mechanics, which is, that's not a bad thing. That content needs to exist, but I also feel like my content deserves to exist too in that sense. So I try not to touch on like those more basic aspects, just because I think other creators do it and they do it well too. If I were to hazard a guess, majority of your viewers actually practice what they learn from your videos and aren't casual spectators / enjoyers. Yeah, I think you're generally right that the majority of people are, at the minimum, people who enjoy learning about the game, and they're people who want to improve at the game. That being said, I do see from time to time there are people who say like, I don't even play this game, but I still watch your videos because they're very interesting, or like, I watch these so that it helps my understanding when I watch pro games, so I understand their thinking more. So yeah, there are some of those people, but I think you're right that majority are people who like they intend to use the videos in their game. Have you tried exit lag before? No, I haven't. I have not. It helps having good friends still, yeah.
For FaZe, it was frozen at the end of regulation in back-to-back rounds. Which G2 player is going to step up?
I have a few friends that play CS maybe twice a month and still absorb YouTube content and are fans of your work. Yo, thank you, man. When you say this, you're referring to like people who played back in your time, right?
Here to challenge from G2. Who is so strong towards the A site. Well, goodbye. Jacob is taking the opening frag here. First blood drawn. And it's G2 being spilled over the floor. Jacob with another step in the right direction. 15 seconds though. They need some bias to deliver right here.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this, I talked about this earlier about how sometimes people, I think my content also caters well to people who have a lot of real life responsibilities too. Like, there are people who have work and stuff like that, and or they go to school and they don't necessarily have the time to study Counter-Strike as much anymore. And it's interesting because when I look at my YouTube analytics, for example, I see that the majority age is actually 25 to 34. So I don't actually get that many like young people. I actually get some people that say that they are also listed as like 34 to 40 something too, which is, I think that's really cool, quite honestly, just because CS has been it's been a game that's been around for so long, and I think it's just such a timeless game where if you played it as a kid back in 2000, for example, you're at least like 30, maybe even 40, and because it's such a good game, you still come back to it. It's actually the funniest thing. I'm sure it's actually a funny thing. Like I'm sure some people can relate. Like if you've crossed the border between Canada / US. I don't know how this necessarily works in like Europe, if this same thing kind of happens, but like between Canada and US, I know there's times where, they ask you what you're doing, and you say like, "Oh, I'm going to a Counter-Strike tournament." So, sometimes instead of them just being like, "What is that?" sometimes they're like, "Wow, people still play that game." That's how old they are, and some of these border people are like, they look reasonably old too, which I think is very cool. Just that CS it's a popular game. It's a lot easier to click and watch a 6-minute video versus a 15-minute one, IMO. Honestly, Google metrics are trash, not gonna lie. YouTube thinks I'm married and manage 1K workers. I don't know, maybe it's the content you watch. Maybe that's why they think that. I've had a few of those interactions, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's what I find really interesting. Oh wow, FaZe actually won. So I've seen some people, okay, so I just want to touch on this comment, the Platterco one. The Platterco one where the 6-minute video versus the 15-minute one. I got a question for people who are in that camp, because I'm in that camp too, and I just want to know if like we're on the same page about this. If you watch like in general, do you even watch long videos on YouTube? Is it something you even do? Does it depend on the topic? Like, what makes you actually want to watch a longer video? And second question, if I made a long video, would you be less likely to watch it? Or would you expect that the 15-minute version is going to be like the 6-minute version, but just in that length? Those are not exclusives, pal. Get on the grind. For me, I'm not that active in playing CS as much as I used to due to life being busy, but playing once a week while rewatching the video is a nice refresh to making sure I don't lose my observation. Yeah, the young CS players consume the bro science mechanics videos. JK. I definitely watch long videos, but it's way more of a commitment going into it. I watch long videos as long as the information is kept relevant as possible. I love long videos personally, but it's also because I have the YouTube essay brain rot. Easier to see a pro's approach recommended and go into it. Yeah, so I guess I'll just expand. For me, like, it feels like younger people consume those cheaters in CS videos where everyone's who's hit a weird shot is cheating. IMO, you have to earn watching a 15+ minute video. If it's a new channel, I try it, and if I don't like it, I wouldn't touch that channel again. I have a bunch of channels I like to watch 30-minute videos from. Yours, I would watch. I appreciate that, man. Longer videos can be worse if you cannot properly hold people's attention. Yeah, so I was just going to say that, like, for me, I don't mind watching long videos, but again, it's kind of the same thing as what you guys are saying, where the information needs to be relevant. And I think it's, at least in terms of CS, there's been, I haven't seen many like long educational videos that I actually complete from start to finish. But like, I guess the one type of video that I do like watching, like if it's long, would be, yeah, documentary type of videos, like history type of videos. And I mean, that's kind of the inspiration I had for Mirage Windows Smoke and Infernal Banana videos, like you said, Platterco. Yeah. But I do also notice, or people do say that like my videos are very dense. So like even 6 minutes could feel like a long time just because of how much information there is. But yeah, I don't know. If I were to try to make a 15-minute version of my 6-minute videos, man, it'd take a while. CS is arguably 50% a mental game and 50% a technical knowledge mechanical game. It's so timeless because of that fact, almost like playing chess. Yeah, I can agree with that a lot. Like, I feel like the big thing as well is just like how pressure affects people as well. Like, you might be able to hit this certain shot when there isn't any pressure, but then when there is pressure, it becomes harder to do, you know, because you're scrutinizing whether or not you make a mistake from it. And I think that's the difference between somebody who kind of plays to their potential compared to somebody who can't. And the main way to overcome that is basically just experience for the most part. Like, you do it enough times until it becomes more second nature, and yeah. Yeah, for me, like, just on the other topic as well of the shorter videos, I've always thought that shorter videos are nicer just because
Huge win there. Not the first time though that I've seen you win on a stage.
I always thought that like I've always thought that like shorter videos are just nicer if they're compacted, just because, you know, I think the main reason why for me is just like I don't feel like it exists that much in CS. Like there are shorts, of course, but they're not presented in this like 6 to 10 minute format all too often. And if they are, they don't really cover the at least I guess what I'm describing is I just really just found a gap in the CS market, I guess.
I definitely would say that we have exceeded expectations as of right now, at least my personal expectations. I mean,
I watched 10 minutes of a 40-minute video on Cave Ancient and it felt so useless because there wasn't enough info and too much unnecessary yapping. I don't see it as a bad thing just because it's dense. It's not like you can't rewatch or go back to process what you're seeing. That's what I think. That's what I think. It's not too dense for me, IMO. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. Okay. Well, this match is over. I was intending on just watching this one. This one took a while. It's about 3 hours, 45 minutes. I think I'm going to start, I think I'm going to end it here, guys. I appreciate all of you tuning in. Sir Albert, thanks for the follow. Appreciate all of you guys tuning in. And yeah, so I'm probably going to try to stream again tomorrow, or at least tomorrow and the day after. And yeah, it's a lot of fun talking with you guys and just getting to pick your guys' brains a little bit. And yeah, have a good one. Pray for me. I got an exam in 2 days. I'm cooked. Appreciate the stream and your effort, man. Thanks, guys. Yeah, and good luck with your exam, dude. All right, guys. I'm going to end it here. I'll see you guys tomorrow if you guys tune in. Have a good one.